Caleb Laverne.
Chase Elliott scores the win in the Ally 400 at the Nashville Superspeedway.
Nashville's exclusive home for NASCAR. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome game set.
Checkered flag in the air.
The game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun.
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's showtime.
Welcome into the Tuesday edition of Robby and Rexrode. I'm Joe Rexrode here with Adam Vingan in this week for Robby Stanley, Michelle Knezovic. How's everybody doing? I'll just throw that up to whoever would like to answer it first. I'm going to switch it up from Robby. Robby always asks me first, but I'm going to throw it up to the whole room.
I'm doing great this morning, other than spilling coffee all over myself and my fire alarm in my apartment going off last night.
Okay, I saw the coffee spill. It's substantial.
It's
Yeah.
the
We've
second
all been
consecutive day that Michelle has spilled coffee on white pants.
Correct. I'm a mess.
That's tough. What the fire alarm? Just some random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
What
like
time was
8
that?
to 9 last night, just an hour
An hour.
outside waiting for the fire truck, and yeah, it was very annoying. And I have bug bites all over myself, so
Well, that stinks. At least it was. I mean, at least it was 8 to 9, right? It wasn't like 11 to 12.
I've had a 3 a.m.er one.
Oh,
Ooh, that's
boy.
the worst.
I don't miss that about apartment living at all.
Yeah. House guy.
Yes, house guy now for almost 2 years.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. A little sad about some pop culture news yesterday. Olivia Newton-John died.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. I got to tell you, man, I'm a huge Olivia Newton-John fan, and that's very sad. And my childhood, listening to my mom had her albums and would rock those albums. And I would advise everyone out there to, if you don't know, you know, I think people know, like, Let's Get Physical.
Yes.
And, you know, Grease, stuff like that. But her stuff in the early 70s, before Grease, some great stuff. It was kind of country, you know?
Yes, I learned yesterday that she had 7 top 10 hits on Billboard's country chart in the 70s.
Yeah, Please, Mr. Please, about a young woman in Nashville, by the way, is might be my all-time favorite Olivia Newton-John banger. So check that one out.
I know a lot of people
very sad.
associate her with Sandy in Grease.
Well, right, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. And then there's Xanadu, and, you know, the Let's Get Physical video was like that was, like, MTV was probably a year old, and the Let's Get Physical video was a heavy rotation. So, you know, everyone remembers that. But, yeah, great career, very sad. She battled cancer for a long time, so.
Yeah. Biggest song.
Rest in peace.
Physical was the biggest song of the 1980s, according to Billboard.
Really?
Yes.
That surprises me.
Yes.
I mean, it was huge, but that still surprises me. And that is, wow, that's substantial.
That according to the New York Times.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, you know, I honestly, maybe, you know, this is me being ignorant perhaps. I didn't realize that she had been battling breast cancer for such a long time.
Yeah.
Like more than 20 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was sad when I saw that. You know, it's, you know, when I saw that across the timeline yesterday, it took me back. It took me aback slightly. I was like, damn.
I feel like we've had a lot of losses lately. I mean, I suppose that's life, right? But I just feel like, I mean, like half of my favorite, you know, actors from like gangster movies and shows.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's been a bad run.
Yeah,
It's
so
been-
we're
it's been a
gonna
rough run.
honor some Olivia Newton-John today.
Actually,
right,
yeah.
Michelle?
If you could rock some
Guys,
Olivia, that would be great.
I was already thinking
There
that.
we go. I think that's more than appropriate. All right, good deal.
I hope Jared's not listening because he hates when radio hosts talk about bumper music.
Oh man, can't. Got to get to the takes. Let's get to the takes for Jared.
Well, I can see that you didn't heed my advice and use your notes app because you've got your yellow legal pad again. Hopefully your handwriting about yesterday's Titans practice is more legible than it was over the weekend.
Well, you know, on the sideline yesterday, actually, Braden Gall actually wanted to see. He said, "Let me just see a sheet of this," and he just wanted to see if he could possibly read the words. He actually did pretty well. You know, by the way, yesterday TD texted me during the show about the Chicaconquo, and I said there was a pass breakup, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I missed it until later, but it was Chance Campbell, the rookie linebacker, and like I couldn't read that. I wrote that down, but I could not read my writing of Chance Campbell. So we got some work to do on that. But,
my handwriting has deteriorated over time. Like when I have to fill out a form with a pen, like at a doctor's office or something, and I'm writing, I'm like, man, I've really let my handwriting go just because you're not used to handwriting that much anymore.
Well, so you're talking about cursive.
Or no, just print in general.
Yeah. Well, my print, it's been like this big all caps crap for a long time, but, writing cursive, something that was very important to learn in third grade.
Yes.
And now it's just like, that's just completely obsolete. So Titans yesterday, I actually have, my notes are not like extensive from yesterday.
As he flips to the second page.
Yeah, but the other day, I had 2 practices, and I think I had like 4 pages per practice. So
okay.
This is a little more. I stuck to the big stuff. First of all, I think one big thing. It's a constant story. We had the depth chart yesterday. Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit-Frere. I look at that as an absolute. It's a competition. They're both getting opportunities, and it's going to be really interesting. And that's probably as interesting as anything Thursday at Baltimore. So I think both of them, with some good stuff, some not so good stuff, and we'll see. Kaharski asked Mike Vrabel yesterday about a good question. So why? Because Vrabel says, hey, we want to give every people opportunities and all that stuff. So Kaharski's question was, well, why aren't you doing that at left guard? Because of course on the depth chart, it shows Brewer or Jamarco Jones. It shows Radins or Petit-Frere, and I don't remember. I'm going to find the exact answer. There's not a lot to the answer. But basically, I think his answer was like, it was my decision or something like that.
Well,
but,
yes,
but
it was.
Again, it's like you don't have to, without saying it, it makes it it's very clear, right? There is a competition at one spot. There right now really is not a competition at the other spot. That's what it comes down to. So that's one big thing from yesterday, and it's basically, I think, 3 straight practices now, that you've seen some serious interchange there between those two. Nick Westbrook-Akina. First of all right, did we not ask Nick Westbrook-Akina to pronounce his name when we had him on the show? And what did he say?
Yes, we did. Nick Westbrook-Akina.
Okay, well, I think it was A to Z Sports had a video interview with him yesterday, and he said it's Akine. And I was like, I swear we asked him. Like,
listen, I'll get the receipts.
What? Like, I swear we asked him.
Is this a Robby Anderson situation?
Well, the IE versus the Y.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't matter. It's closer to Darius Leonard is now Shaquille Leonard.
Is that going to stick?
I think so.
He changed his social media handles to that.
Yeah. Look, like I think Darius is a cool name, but
yeah.
Shaquille's a really cool name.
Of course it is.
So, yeah, I think that's going to stick. I'm seeing like Colts reporters, tweet out Shaquille Leonard. By the way, he's sitting out and his back's a problem, which is not great for the Colts. Anyway, Nick Westbrook-Akina which is what we've been going with. Had a couple drops early. Now one of them, Fulton kind of got his hand in there, so you could attribute it to Christian Fulton a little bit, but very jarring to see him drop passes ever anymore. Never does it. He catches everything. His first camp a couple years ago, when everyone, including myself, assumed that he just wouldn't be around anymore, he struggled to catch the ball. He looked pretty good running around out there. You could see some ability, but he couldn't catch the ball. Of course, he's overcome that and then some, but yesterday he had a couple. So Burks had a drop, but the big issue with that, and I think Treylon Burks, I'd say maybe, he slowed down a little bit. Let's say that. Like, he has not popped, in these practices lately as much. Maybe a little bit of a wall for a rookie. He had to drop, but a big thing on that was that he didn't run his route. It would have been a catch, I think, and an easy catch had he run the route correctly. It was a crossing route, and receivers coach Rob Moore, vocally let him know about that. That was a route thing. So, just one of those things for a rookie. There was a lineup issue too yesterday. There was also, by the way, just a total. This is the Traylon Burks thing. He cannot have a misstep without major reaction. So, I almost hesitate to talk about anything bad, but, so here's an example. Okay, Mike Herndon, friend of the show, tweets something about Burks lining up wrong once or whatever. And so now, do you know who Nick Mencio is? I don't know. He's a football writer for somebody. I mean, he's got pretty big follower count. Anyway, this is his quote tweet to that. Okay, Mike Herndon talking about Burks making a couple mistakes. Quote, Traylon Burks lining up wrong, running the wrong routes this summer after not being able to pass a conditioning test in the spring. Seems to be well behind Robert Woods, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and even fellow rookie Kyle Phillips on the Titans wide receiver depth chart, end quote. So let's just take something, which is something that happened in practice. He also made plays in practice, and make sweeping judgments about it. It's not true. He's actually had a very good camp. It's just slowed down a little bit, and I would not say he's behind Kyle Phillips on the Titans depth chart. Kyle Phillips is surging right now, but I would not say that. I would say that right now Burks would still be in the top 3 at receiver. Another thing yesterday, Shakur Brown. Roger McCreary was out. Don't know if he was hurt. He was on the bike. Sometimes that's a day off. Sometimes that's an injury. I'd be surprised if a rookie fighting for a spot it would be out. Would just get a day off from Vrabel. So he's probably a little bit nicked up. Shakur Brown in there again and making some plays, giving up some plays. But number 38 is absolutely making himself known. So, the thing is, this is half a page of notes. This is a problem, I get on one little note and then I just blab forever and ever.
Well, good thing you're in sports talk radio, because that's what blabbing.
I guess so.
It's all about blabbing.
Blabbing is a good skill. So when we come back, I've got more. I've got some big runs. I've got some Malik Willis. And I've got a veteran pass rusher who looked good too. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode. And don't forget to join in on our phone and text line, 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Tuesday at 2:45.
Sanders for the touchdown, 48 yards.
Former NFL wide receiver Chris Sanders joins Stillman and Company to give his thoughts on all things Titans and NFL. Fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at ParmanEnergy.com on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
This is Chef John from Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville. Inviting you to come join us for breakfast and lunch. We are offering some exciting new menu items. For breakfast, we have a smoked prime rib hash. Comes with a sunny side up egg, hominy, caramelized onions. It's a great start to your day. We are featuring a sourdough pancake made with a sourdough bread starter. It's a fun spin on the classic buttermilk pancake. As always, Kitchen Notes is serving biscuits all day. Come join us and create a memorable experience here at the Omni Hotel. Food is all about memories for us. We'd like you to start a new memory here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Hotel.
Breakfast at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
I had low back pain that was due to herniated discs.
Meet Dr. Justin Garzone, another satisfied patient who found regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics.
Over a very short period of time, the pain went away completely, and I have had absolutely no symptoms or pain since my treatment.
Before Dr. Garzone found QC Kinetics, he was looking at all the old school pain treatments.
It was recommended that I have steroid injections done, but then unfortunately my insurance company said that I would have to do 3 months of physical therapy first, and I needed to get better quickly.
With QC Kinetics, the doctor got lasting relief with no downtime.
I didn't have to take any medications during my treatment. I avoided surgery, and I am now pain-free.
Don't live with chronic pain, and don't go under the knife. Call QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024. 615-249-4024.
Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, is observing a significant milestone this month. Our founder, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 50th year as president. Joining Bud with anniversaries of their own are Max Hurst and Scott Meyer with 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and Ryan Burke in our sales department is also celebrating 1 year with us. From 1 year to 50 years, Cromwell Media is a great place to work, and you're invited to join us. Send an email to together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
This should be 8x7.
When it comes to closets, Janina's home organization business runs tip-top tidy.
Is this schedule right? I'm gonna need help.
But she needs to reorganize and find a new assistant.
I know, it's your last week, but can you make sure the Hansen pantry's wrapped?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say?
Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Joe Rexrode, Adam Vingan, Michelle Knezovic spinning some Olivia Newton-John. I mean, that's a good start. There's some deep cuts. There's some deep. I think I'm gonna text you. I'm gonna text you some ideas.
Thanks, Rexrode.
Did you have any leg warmers?
I did not have leg warmers. A lot of the girls in my school had leg warmers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did have the. That was right around the time I got my first pair of Nikes. Right around the time that song was really popular, like third grade, and I got the blue Nikes. Like they're they were short and they were like light blue stripe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was a pretty
super
sick sweet deal. I think a lot of people still called them Nikes, back then. Yeah. Yes, just this fledgling company out of Oregon. Reminder, folks, you can watch us streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. We are talking Titans, and on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, Megan says, on Nick Westbrook, Akine, which I'm going to start adjusting. We got to get it right. She said, yeah, Mike Keith came out a few days ago, said it had been wrong this whole time. In the live look-in, he said he checked with him and it ends in nay. It's going to be pretty hard to change. Well, and it's already been butchered. I mean, not everybody says Westbrook Akina, but apparently that was wrong anyway. So Westbrook Akine. If you can find the receipt, Michelle, I swear we asked him, and maybe he's just messing with all of us. This is possible. Back to the notes from yesterday, Adam.
Okay.
Julius Chestnut.
I like that name.
It's a very good name. He is a guy we have not talked a ton about with the Titans. This is one of those, keep this in mind for the preseason game, because I already called a shot that Jordan Wilkins is going to have a huge night. A lot, the running backs down the roster a little bit in these preseason games, right? You can sometimes see, and sometimes, of course, there can be overreaction, ooh, that guy. But that's basically you're getting reps and deep in a preseason game. But you go through the running back depth chart. You of course have Trenton Cannon, who's trying to make it, and really as a returner, that's his key. Hassan Haskins, Derrick Henry, of course. Dontrell Hilliard, I really like how he looks. But Wilkins has looked good. But Julius Chestnut, a rookie, Sacred Heart University, 5'11", 228. Haven't seen a ton from him. Got a chance with the top unit and was gone. The defense blitzed. Titans caught him in a blitz. The offense caught him in a blitz. Julius Chestnut took it to the house. So good for him. 7-on-7. Malik Willis, I thought he might have had his most or highest number of good throws yesterday than he's had in a particular day of camp. He had a really good pass to Briley Moore in the seam. It was a zone look. Obviously, they throw different coverages at him in 7 and team. the zone look. It just looked like a really good recognition of what the coverage was, finding the spot, hitting it at the right time. Bradley Moore making plays at tight end. I picked him on my 53 going in. Then I wavered and said, you know what, I think it's going to be Tommy Hudson. And, hey, it may only be 3 tight ends. Don't rule out Bradley Moore. He is showing up more and more, kind of like Kyle Phillips at receiver. Bradley Moore is making plays in different situations for different quarterbacks. So keep that in mind. Others with team yesterday, Phillips, slant, big-time route, big-time quick feet, beat Shakur Brown, who, as we said, he's been making noise. Recently signed Shakur Brown, but Phillips got him pretty good there. Another one by Phillips, a terrific Kinsey catch against Shakur Brown, so he kind of he kind of took some L's yesterday as well. And then I had on a one particular play, Bud Dupree flash again. Yesterday was not pads. Yesterday was shorts and helmets. They still got a lot. They still actually ran quite a few running plays in team. It was physical for a non-fully padded practice, but Bud Dupree on one play here and there, he's out there quite a bit, and he looks pretty imposing coming off the edge. So those are my notes. That's not crazy. That's not a crazy collection of notes.
So what was your main takeaway when you got back in the car and were leaving St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday, and you were thinking about what stood out to you among all of those notes? What was the first thing that came to mind?
Well, I think it's maybe a little bit of the seesaw. Again, that tweet from, was it Nick Mencio? Is that what I said? Was inaccurate on Traylon Burks is behind Kyle Phillips on the depth chart. I don't think that. Kyle Phillips is going to have a confined role. I mean, he's going to be the slot guy, and I think it's going to be, largely in obvious passing downs. I don't like Kyle Phillips is not going to be out there a ton in there, really maybe not at all when they go 2 tight end, right? Or they go 2 back. It's going to be one of those bigger outside receivers. It's going to be those bigger outside receivers at wideout. But in certain situations, I think he's going to be out there. I think he's going to absolutely make the team. And he is every day now making noise. It's kind of like he now is kind of like Traylon Burks earlier in camp. So my big takeaway, I guess, would be a little bit of a seesaw effect there with Phillips seeming to gain momentum right now. And look, some of this is just quarterback choices. You got to keep that in mind, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, 7-on-7, red zone, team, whatever it is, it's still quarterbacks making choices. Traylon Burks may have gotten open a few times yesterday that the ball just didn't come his way. But Kyle Phillips is making a lot more plays. And Traylon Burks is, I'd say, has made less plays in the last, couple day, 2-3 practices, something like that. Again, kind of didn't run a route exactly right, lined up wrong, making some mistakes, rookie stuff, nothing concerning. Like don't tie it back to the spring. Again, he's taking part in everything. He's going to be a key player, but I think we're seeing a little bit of a lull for him. So that would be, I guess, my primary thing. It's Shakur Brown is also a really interesting story as they look for corner depth, but McCreary will be back. Molden will be back. I think he's missed 7 straight practices. It's been more than a week. It's been a week and a half without him. But that's my big takeaway. I would also say, again, Malik Willis, you're seeing some gains. You're still seeing imperfection. You're seeing the need for development and all that stuff. But he's got a little bit of momentum maybe going into a big moment for him Thursday.
It appears that Nick Mencio writes for Roto World. When I typed his name into Google, there were a lot of fantasy previews.
So it's fantasy-related content.
So Mike Herndon, by the way, who you referenced before, Nick Mencio took his tweet and sent the tweet that you were referring to. Mike Herndon replied and said, as the writer of this tweet this is based on, I feel the need to clarify. Burks also worked with Tannehill. He lined up wrong once, did not run the wrong route, just didn't run through the route like the wide receiver coach wanted. He's largely been good, sometimes very good in camp.
That's exactly right. He didn't run the route. He wasn't where he needed to be. He wasn't at the spot because, apparently he just didn't run it hard enough, or he didn't, so it wasn't the wrong route. So yeah, good for Mike Herndon to clarify. Again, I just feel like people want now that's a fantasy overreaction, right? That's the fantasy world overreaction. I would say on the fantasy side, if I'm drafting and if someone's saying you can take Kyle Phillips or Traylon Burks, it's ding 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 Traylon Burks. Traylon Burks is going to get red zone opportunities. He's Traylon Burks is a late
round flyer on Traylon Burks might be good. You need some depth on your bench in fantasy. I'd take him.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean that's exactly. I mean with this team from the fantasy perspective. Boy, at receiver, I just don't know. Again, I think Westbrook-Akine is going to be a good – see, I'm saying it right already. I think, if that is right. I think he's going to be a good player this year, but same sort of thing. I mean, Robert Woods should be the first receiver off the board. I just don't know how high, though. I mean, I don't know if the numbers are going to be especially glowing for anyone. Scott –
other than Derrick Henry.
Right, yeah. No, I'm just talking about receiver.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, at tight end even, I think Austin Hooper.
If you like to stream tight ends in fantasy, I think Austin Hooper is a guy that you could rely on.
If you like to what?
Stream
the
tight
heck
ends.
Does that mean?
Like if you don't draft someone like Travis Kelce or Darren Waller.
Oh, so you're looking at matchups.
Yeah, and if you don't have a dedicated tight end and you're just looking at matchups and you just like to pick guys off the waiver wire every week, Austin Hooper is a guy I feel like that would be very popular at that. Like, he's available and they're playing the Texans. I'll take him.
Streaming tight ends.
Yes,
I did not.
Well, he's streaming in general, but you can stream tight ends and other positions.
I often stream defenses.
Streaming defenses is very popular.
It's like every once in a while, it's like, I got a chance to take one. I know, but it's just. To me, it's like you're better off a lot of times just finding the horrific. There's 2 or 3 horrific offenses,
right?
And a lot of times you can find somebody taking on.
Like last year, it's like, this defense is playing the Jaguars this week. I'll take them.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Scott or Tony, who by the way,
Tony or Scott?
Well, he said his first name's Scott. He goes by middle name Anthony. He calls himself Tony. So we got Tony in Smyrna.
Okay, Tony.
Tony in Smyrna. Asking, has Elijah Molden returned to practice? Any word? There's no word. He's not in practice. He is on the bike. The fact that he's on the bike tells you it's not like it's some devastating injury. So it's one of those things where whatever it is, he suffered it on the indoor. It was last Friday, or it was a week ago Friday. It was the indoor practice when it was raining outside. He left early. And, again, hasn't been out there, but they're not going to mess with something. They're not going to mess with anything with someone who's going to be, I still believe, a starter and a key player this year. So I would guess it wouldn't be too long, but it has been pretty extended. And Chip from Mount Juliet says, Olivia Newton-John was my first crush. I guess you call it growing up. These stars passing do have an impact. Yes, I think a lot of people. I've seen a lot of first crush stuff with Olivia Newton-John.
I mean, that's the iconic scene in Grease where she's got the leather outfit on and her hair's all teased, and she's "Tell me about it, stud."
What's wild about that is so she's playing like a 16, 17-year-old.
Yes.
I think she was like 29 or 30 then. Isn't that wild?
That's always the weird thing about movies that take place in high school, We both love Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I mean, how old, I would hope everybody would.
I mean, how old was, Phoebe Cates in that movie when she was playing a high schooler? And
now you want to talk about a childhood crush. Phoebe Cates. By the way, Mike from Clarksville says, stick with NWI. That's probably good advice, Mike. All right, we're gonna switch to some hockey next. Talk a little Ellie Tolvanen. Expanding on something Adam said yesterday. Ellie Tolvanen's future with the Preds. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Well, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Hey football fans, Patrick Mahomes here, and I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Harmon Energy is your one-stop petroleum solution across all of Tennessee, offering turnkey petroleum solutions for professionals in major industries, serving trucking fleets, construction companies, industrial plants, and more. Whether a large corporation or owner-operator, Harmon Energy has your diesel fuel, lubricant, DEF, and equipment needs. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman. Visit ParmanEnergy.com for more info. Your Tennessee petroleum solution, providing totally outrageous customer service.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
I'm Cindy Mae Johnson from Mountaintop Media in Pikeville, Kentucky. You may have seen or heard about the flash flood disaster our people have suffered, but I promise you no news story can accurately convey how much help is needed. Lives have been lost, homes destroyed. If you're willing or able to help even a little, donate to the East Kentucky Dream Center on Venmo or at ekdc.raisegiving.com. That's ekdc.raisegiving.com. Thank you.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is Laura Rutledge from the SEC Network, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Michelle looking at me like, don't botch this, Rexrode. Adam Vingan in for Robby Stanley this week, and we're going to get to some hockey here, Adam. The Preds. You mentioned Ellie Tolvanen yesterday. And you basically said not out on him, not done, but basically he's got to be a fourth liner this year, probably. I mean, So I'm interested in what that looks like from his perspective. From your perspective, is Ellie Tolvanen? Because to me, I still want him on a power play unit for sure. I mean, I want to utilize that shot, right?
Yes.
Nino Niederreiter's arrival should allow you to have a little bit more balance, maybe be a little bit better with power play 2, which I think would be beneficial for the Preds. There was a big difference. I mean, at least there was it's good for the Preds there was a big difference. It means they had a good power play unit last year. But how does Ellie Tolvanen, how does he, if that's the case, if it's like Tolvanen, Glass, Sanford, which it kind of makes sense, how do you think that line projects, and where do you think things are going for him? I think he's a fascinating case this year.
Yeah, and when you look at his numbers last season, his shooting percentage was really low. Now, 2 seasons ago in the shortened season, his shooting percentage was pretty high. So, the truth is so to speak, is somewhere in the middle. And I was thinking about players that other more established NHL players that remind me of Eeli Tolvanen. And it's not a perfect comparison, but the first player that came to mind was Mike Hoffman. Are you familiar with Mike Hoffman?
Yep.
Yeah, Mike Hoffman, he's been in the league now, for probably close to 10 years, played a lot of time in Ottawa, had a couple years in Florida. He's bounced around. I think he played for Montreal last season.
Wasn't there interest here, or maybe there was just speculation?
I think there was speculation, and Mike Hoffman has had some good seasons. He scored 36 goals in 2018-19 with the Panthers. He scored 29 goals in 19-20 with the Panthers. And the thing about Mike Hoffman is, if you need a power play goal, he's your guy. He's got a great shot. He's good at finding holes in a penalty kill, but the rest of his game needs a little work. And at this point, Mike Hoffman's an older player, so he is what he is. He's more or less a specialist. Like, I wouldn't trust Mike Hoffman, with playing in a defensive minded situation. He's not overly physical. He needs line mates who can complement him. And I think there are elements of that in Eeli Tolvanen's game. I do think that Eeli Tolvanen has done a lot of work to improve defensively, and I think he is a reliable defensive player. I do not think he is a liability when the Predators need a stop in the defensive zone. I do think that he has become more physical. But I would, in terms of the comparison to Hoffman, we know that Tolvanen, has a fantastic shot and can really be a threat on the power play. But I also agree with the idea that he also needs line mates who can complement him. Eeli Tolvanen is not driving a line on his own, and when I think about where he is in his career. He's played almost 200 games in the NHL, which is hard to believe. And he has like 25 career goals, something like that. And, young player, development is not a straight line. Sometimes players develop more slowly, and he is still a young player. So there is still room to grow, and he could become, look, if Eeli Tolvanen had 36 goals one season, like Mike Hoffman has, that would be great. But, I just look at Tolvanen and I see a player that he needs certain, like, I think we were talking about this with Ryan Tannehill. Like, Ryan Tannehill needs certain conditions to succeed. He needs an effective running game. He might need an effective tight end, which he did not have last season, but he had with Jonnu Smith. He needs things to be right around him in order to succeed. He's not a quarterback, Tannehill, that is going to make things happen on his own consistently. And I feel like Tolvanen is that kind of player for the Predators. And, he's had plenty of opportunities in the top six, and he just hasn't seized those moments. He had a run during the shortened season where he was carrying the team offensively for a stretch. But outside of that, I just haven't seen it yet, and I'm just not sure. This is not to say that he could not return to a consistent top six player at some point. I think that opportunity for now has passed him by, and he'll have to work to get it back.
Yeah, so it is actually, so it's 122 games, 23 goals.
Oh, okay, sorry, I was way off.
But that's still, it's a pretty decent. Essentially, it's about a season and a half total, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, he had 11 goals in 40 games. 11 goals, 22 points in 40 games in the 2020-21 season. 11 goals and 23 points in 75 games, basically twice the time. Same production last year, so half the production.
The problem
from one year
that,
to the next, and like you said, the shot percentage less than half.
Certain columnists wrote fawning columns from the Olympics 4 years ago. That got us all hyped up. Joe,
I should go fine.
I remember that column, and I was like, "All right, Joe."
I was like, they don't need a trading deadline acquisition. This guy, plug him in right now. Plug and play.
Look, I think a lot of us, I don't want to say fooled because that would be unfair to Tolvanen, but in our defense, and you and I are not the only ones guilty of this. He was setting rookie scoring records in the KHL. He was playing in the Olympics. He was playing in the World Junior Tournament. He was playing well. I mean, that's why people were so excited for him to come here, and it doesn't always happen. And the one thing I've always been impressed with Eeli Tolvanen is that when he got here and he was sent to Milwaukee, he had such a great attitude.
Yeah.
I was a bit concerned that he would think to himself I could be playing and I could be playing professionally in the KHL right now, making a lot more money. Why would I want to play in the American League? And because I was reminded a little bit of Kevin Fiala, because Kevin Fiala.
Yeah, I was just gonna say un-Fiala-like.
Yes, Kevin Fiala had a bit of a problem being in Milwaukee. Had needed some tough love. Tolvanen, has really done the work, because I remember in his contract, in his entry-level contract, there was a European assignment clause, which is not uncommon, but basically, he had an out if he wanted to go play in Europe again if he wasn't getting an opportunity with the Predators. But he never really thought about exercising it, because he knew that the way to get to the NHL was to put in the work in the minors. And to his credit, he's become a consistent figure in the lineup. But with all look, it's great that he's getting better defensively and more well-rounded. But that's not his bread and butter.
It's not. But I do wonder if. Because look, even going to last year, it was frankly, you want to talk about some funny stuff that people have written. You go back and look at, I think, some of your and some of my predictions individually about the Preds. I think one of us, I think it might have been me. Or was it you? I think it was me. Tolvanen's going to have a 30-goal season.
I had the worst prediction of any Predators related.
You had Cunnin,
media
right?
person. Yeah, I said that Luke Cunnin was going to lead the team in goals. I could not have been more wrong.
That's Jared-ish of you.
Well, I had to go out on a limb, and my rationale was that he was really good in the second half of the shortened season, and had a big goal in the playoffs against the Hurricanes, and he ended up leading the team, I think, in 5-on-5 scoring during that shortened season. So I was like, all right, he's gonna get more opportunity. He's gonna score, because I didn't think that Matt Duchene and Philip Forsberg were gonna have 40-goal seasons, because it had never happened before. That's bad.
And there's a great example of, you think trajectory is one thing for someone, and then in one season it's never mind. My question though with Tolvanen, and we'll bring this to the other side, I do wonder if psychologically the way things are going to go heading into this year might benefit him and the Predators. We'll get to that next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic on Nashville's best sports talk. ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobis. Today, warm once again, high temperature right near 90, right near normal for this time of the year. Heat index values in the middle 90s. Scattered showers and storms this afternoon through the evening. Not worried about severe weather, but heavy rainfall is possible.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and paid time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
Now's the time to make a message known. All working-class Tennesseans vote no on Amendment 1 this voting season. Right to work does not belong in the state constitution. Hardworking families deserve to have their needs addressed in today's economy. Visit TennesseeWorkerAlliance.org, paid for by the Nashville Building Trades.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway. Now here's Jim Mitchell.
Our fleet vehicle program is a great benefit to all the fleet companies in Nashville. We are able to get their vehicle back on the road a lot quicker than the downtime of most dealers and most general repair shops, simply because we have the transmissions available. We're able to put priority on their vehicles to get them back on the road quickly.
You know it's going to happen, and when your car needs service or repair, remember Mitchell's Mr. Transmission on Gallatin Road, just north of Briley Parkway.
Did you get the Clement Horizon clean last night? I don't want another barnacle incident. Where's Ivan?
Kiki's head of docking operations just jumped ship.
What do you mean he's sailing around the world?
She needs a new marina manager to help keep her head above water.
Yeah, the tide's perfect, but we are slammed.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the whoops. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Informative.
They played a lot of power play time together back in the day.
Insightful.
It's a great addition to this team.
And just three guys being dudes.
On the sideline in shorts and a t-shirt, hanging out, watching the game.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
No such thing as bad press.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Very, very 80s. The Olivia Newton-John tributes rolling in today.
I feel like I'm in the town in Footloose.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Adam Vingen in for Robby. Jamming to some Olivia Newton-John, rest in peace. Talking some Preds. And in particular, Ellie Tolvanen. So here's my thought, Adam. So Tolvanen, big expectations going into last year.
Yes.
After a really encouraging stretch the season before, kind of stymied by injury. But I do wonder, because like you said, he has gained John Hines' trust, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the type of guy. Tolvanen's the type of guy that I would have said, like, if he's not scoring goals, like, what, you know, then what's he doing for you? But
right.
I think there is a certain level of trust there. And the expectations are going to be muted. Obviously, for Ellie Tolvanen, you would love to have an opportunity to be in that top six, and who knows? You know, speaking of trajectory, like with Cunnin, young guy still, had some promise. Like you said, finished strong, and then last year it just like poof. You know, so we assume Tomasino is going to be taking a big step here and entrenching himself and producing more, but I don't know. I mean, that spot, that sixth spot now that five are absolutely claimed, could still rotate. But if it is Tolvanen, Glass, Sanford, some combination there in a fourth line, I could see him having a better season, because in some ways I think he's kind of becoming an afterthought, right? Like the idea that Tolvanen is going to be a core forward is kind of faded. Maybe I'm overreacting on that. Again, he's only 23, but 122 games in, I think the pressure, the expectations have gone down a bit. Maybe that helps him this year on a line like that. But I mean, that also I think depends a lot on Cody Glass and what he is.
Yeah, and Cody Glass, is an interesting case because, of course, he was part of the very interesting 3-team trade between the Predators, Flyers, and Knights. None of those teams, by the way, have really benefited from this trade. If you think about it, actually, the Predators might be the early winners of that trade when you think about it.
Just dumping the salary,
right? Because they dumped Ryan Ellis's salary, and Ryan Ellis, unfortunately, has been dealing with numerous injuries. Played 4 games last season, and who knows when he'll be ready to play again. Nolan Patrick, who went to Vegas, didn't play much last year, and he missed a whole season, I think, because of vertigo or something along those lines. And he was a non-factor for the Golden Knights, and Cody Glass, didn't play much in Nashville. Neither did Philip Myers. I guess you turned Philip Myers into Ryan McDonough, so that's good. Mm-hmm. And Cody Glass, led the Milwaukee Admirals in scoring. So I guess the Predators ended up on top of this thing, which is hard to believe. But one thing to keep in mind about Cody Glass is, he missed, several years of important development, a couple of years of important development because he suffered some serious knee injuries and he didn't really play. And,
right.
I think it was great that he went down to Milwaukee and had such a great season. I know he wasn't much of a factor with the Predators, but, the kid has potential. It was a top 10 pick in the draft a few years ago. And I will be interested to see, how he does. I presume he'll be on the team and get a chance to make an impact. But with Tolvanen, yeah, I mean, perhaps there won't be as much attention on him entering the season. As you said, I think we all think that Philip Tomasino might get the crack at, filling out the top 6, and there'll be a lot of attention on Tomasino, who I've been impressed by. Especially considering the role that he was in last year, not a offensive-minded role a lot of the times, but was still able to create. So yeah, I wondered at the start of the offseason if Eeli Tolvanen could be a change of scenery trade candidate. Because there are teams, every team has a young player that hasn't hit his potential, and you wonder if it's going to happen with that team, and you see that all the time. You see, a teams trade early 20-something players, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I was wondering if, there's a player in Edmonton by the name of Jesse Puljujarvi who was a top pick in the draft a few years ago, and he's had an up and down start to his NHL career, and I thought, well, maybe he's a change of scenery candidate too. Maybe that could work, but. Yeah. I mean, I will be interested to see from afar, how Tolvanen, does this coming season. Just because I do think he has value. One thing that did hurt him was the fact that the Predators' power play was fantastic, and the top unit, especially if I recall correctly off the top of my head, Forsberg, Josi, Duchesne, Granlund, and Johansson.
Yep.
And that unit was fabulous. And when Forsberg was injured early in the season, Tolvanen stepped in and I thought did a good job. But when Forsberg came back, he was, that second unit was such a mishmash of players. It was Nick Cousins was on there, and I think Matthias Ekholm was on there, and I think Tomasino got some run, and it was like a mash unit, but that's not really the word. That's not what I'm looking for, because mash unit, is
yeah, that's really, injury related.
Yes, but a mishmash unit.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So there you go. You can call it that. You can borrow that if you want. I think Tolvanen is a player, like I said before the break, who needs conditions to be right to be impactful. He needs to be on a power play with like-minded players. He needs to be on a line with guys who can drive a line, and he can benefit from that. Now, can a line of, as we said, of Cody Glass and Zach Sanford, can that work? We'll have to wait and see if that's even something John Hines wants to do. it makes sense. But I think if Ellie Tolvanen develops into a consistent 15 to 20 goal scorer every season, I mean, there is value in that. I mean, it's not what Predators fans were hoping for when they drafted him and he had, a great showing overseas, but there is value in having someone that can do that. I mean, hell, look at Craig Smith. I mean, Craig Smith, would hit 20 goals somehow. That guy, had a lot of warts in his game, and he was very inconsistent, but he would put it together just enough to hit 20 goals almost every season. And if Ellie Tolvanen can be a player like that, I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, Craig Smith had value. I mean, he wasn't consistent, but he had value. And I think Tolvanen could be that kind of player. And it's not what you would hope for, but it is something.
Well, and Glass is kind of, number 6 pick formerly, so there's all this all this expectation, all this hype, et cetera, et cetera. That has faded for him too, so it's an interesting situation. It's an interesting dynamic if those two are together next year. You wonder how much are those knee injuries going to, limit or impact Cody Glass moving forward? How much did Milwaukee benefit him? I still think he's intriguing. I mean, it's again, get past the fact that he was the 6th pick and that he was supposed to be something different than he has been so far. You're also still talking about a 23-year-old with him. So those two with reduced expectations.
Yeah, he's 23. He's he's young. And if I recall correctly, I remember after that trade, I talked to Pete DeBoer, now head coach of the Dallas Stars, but then the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think it was Max Pacioretty and Mark Stone were campaigning to play with Cody Glass at one point because they liked what they saw, and now it didn't work out. But
interesting.
When you have players of that caliber asking the coach, "Hey, we want to get a run with this kid," that's a sign of confidence. So
it tells you there might be something there.
Yeah, I do think there's something there, but like I said, you have to keep in mind that and I believe it was the same knee that was injured. He injured it, and as he was rehabbing it, injured it again. Like when he was doing his conditioning stint, he injured it again. So it's not like injuries to two different both knees. It's like one knee and then that same knee, which I have to imagine makes it even more difficult to rehab.
Yes, no doubt, and that is troubling, and it's going to be fascinating. We're going to get a break, and when we come back, Gentry Estes from the Tennessean here on Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
And he's going. Nobody's going to catch him. Derrick Henry, touchdown.
We talk the game.
I don't think it was a bad play, but he took out their goalie.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, Robby Stanley here, and fantasy football season right around the corner, and my friends at Twin Peaks want to hook you up with a great time. They've got great food, double-stack nachos, loaded fries, boneless wings, refreshing 29-degree beers as well, and they want to be your place to be for the fantasy football draft party, which includes a draft board, player stickers, free Wi-Fi, a $50 bonus for the commish, and a $5 bonus card for each drafter as well. So call Twin Peaks in Cool Springs to book your fantasy football draft party at 615-221-0869.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
CSX, a growing Fortune 500 logistics company, has immediate openings for freight train conductors. If you're looking for a rewarding career offering paid training at nearly $25 per hour, competitive benefits, and you share a passion for great service, apply today at csx.com/careers. That's csx.com/careers. CSX, committed to supporting military and veteran families and their communities. CSX is an equal opportunity employer.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 102.5 and 106.3. Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushers. Awesome game set.
Checker flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game, and on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Second hour, welcome in Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Joe Rexrode here with Adam Bingen in for Robby Stanley, Michelle Knezovic behind the glass. And we're happy to welcome our good friend and frequent guest, Gentry Estes from the Tennessean. Gentry, how are you doing? Or do you have all the feels, all the excitement about that preseason Titans opener coming up this week?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Counting down the minutes. I think it'd be just good. We've got, 4 or 5 days without morning practices over at the Titans? Because you'd started to get in that routine of, every morning, so we get a little break now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I don't remember it being, it's because I'm used to the day before travel day, but it's interesting, it's a day off today, then that travel day, then the game. So, a few days away from practice. What is the absolute number one thing you are most interested in watching? Granted, we don't know exactly who is and isn't playing. Mike Vrabel never says that for a game, never will. We have an idea, though, of some obvious guys who won't play. But what's the number one thing you're interested in Thursday?
I mean, there's some nuts and bolts type things in terms of special teams and other stuff. But really what I'm interested in, it's got to be Malik Willis, right? I think that's what, going into the preseason, everybody kind of said it's going to be more interesting just because he's here. And I think it will be. I truly don't know what to expect out of him in this game because for all the hand-wringing over his play so far in the preseason and some of his struggles, which I think are pretty common for any rookie, I think there's a chance he can go out there and light it up. I do. He's a talented guy, and I think in a preseason game atmosphere where things are pretty simplified on both sides of the ball, I think he could do pretty well. And at the same time, we've seen some struggles so far in camp, so it could go that way too. So it actually does create a sense of drama a little bit in anticipation about what we're going to see, to have a big name quarterback prospect on the team this year. And I'm also interested in how much he's going to play versus Logan Woodside.
No, I agree. I assume, I'm just going to guess, Woodside gets first half and Willis gets the second half. I could be wrong. And maybe as time goes on, maybe Willis gets more than that in one of these, like in the third game or something. But I'm with you. I'm fascinated too because, one thing that doesn't come into play right out on the practice field is that when at times when he does, break the pocket, he can make big plays. They just blow the play dead. I could see that happening. And like you said, he makes some throws that are wow throws. Big-time strength on his arm, but also some touch on some of his deep balls, things like that. I could see him making big plays, and like you said, we've seen some stretches of struggles. Do you detect progress from him from the start of camp to now?
Maybe a little bit. It's still play to play, sure, and look, I understand the concern at this point in camp, and the fact that he's thrown some picks, and he'll go through stretches and 2-minute drills where he throws 7 straight incomplete passes. I mean, that does happen, but at the same time, as you said, the talent's there. I mean, look, this guy's sharp. He's instinctive in some of what he can do. He can really sling it, and he can move. There's a lot to work with there. And in the situation he's in right now, there is no pressure on him. He's not competing for anything. He's going to take a redshirt year. I think everybody knows that. So I like the mentality of the kid, and that he doesn't really seem to hold on to things when he makes mistakes. He seems to let it go and move on. And I think he really does have a good grasp on just what it takes mentally to play the position in terms of having a short memory and having confidence no matter what happens. He seems to have had that. So I think you get him in a game situation, and I'm curious to see, as you said, when you're not blowing plays dead on touch sacks and things like that, and he's able to really make some plays, I think he can do it.
Gentry Estes of the Tennessean joining us here on Robby and Rexrode. Gentry, I was listening to Jared and Caroline yesterday, and Jared and Caroline spent a considerable amount of time on their show yesterday talking about what they think is an attitudinal shift in Ryan Tannehill's makeup, so to speak. Jared specifically pointing out there was a lot less we and more me in the conversations that he was having with reporters. And he mentioned that he talked to you about it. He brought it to your attention, and that he said after Tannehill's news conference yesterday that you kind of picked up on it. I'd be curious for your thoughts if now that you've noticed it, if you do believe there is a shift in mentality for Ryan Tannehill.
It's a good question. I'll give Jared credit on this, because usually especially when it involves that particular player, I've kind of learned to kind of tune it out with Jared. But in this one, no, he was right. He had kind of picked up on a few comments. And we're talking about word choice here more than anything, just saying my guys as opposed to our team, things like that. It's a small change, but it does demonstrate some sort of ownership. And then he mentioned that to me at practice. So when Tannehill spoke with us afterwards, I was watching for it and I saw it. He was right. And I do think it's somewhat of a change there. Now, I don't know really where that comes from in terms of, did somebody tell him to do that? Is that something he decided to do that? Is it a mental shift in some way? I don't know. But when Jared did ask Tannehill, are you basically making more of an effort to hold guys accountable? He said, yeah. And I think you've noticed it. You noticed it on the field with him. I mean, I know it got a lot of attention that he jumped on Kyle Phillips after a route a few practices ago, and but I'll be honest, in terms of what I've seen on the field, Tannehill's always done that. I saw him do that to Mason Kinsey last year. And there's been a couple other times. I've always believed he's a bit more of a leader than he gets credit. Just because he's not, demonstrative about it out there. But I think he's always kind of been a leader. But to be fair, when the player was asked, he said, yeah, he's doing more of it, which was an interesting answer.
Your latest column on the Tennessean, Estes, how worried should we be about the Titans' offensive line? So let me ask you, Gentry, how worried should we be about the Titans' offensive line?
Pretty worried. Usually when you get to that kind of headline, you know where you're going. To me, that's the clear concern out of camp. And honestly, I think it's been a good camp. If you look position by position on both sides of the ball, I think the Titans are doing pretty well. They're pretty solid, especially on defense. But I think one of the reasons for that is when you look at how they're investing resources against the salary cap, they're spending a lot more money on their defense now than they were maybe a year or two ago. Most notably, you switched off a big salary for Roger Saffold and gave it to Harold Landry. And that strategic decision, I think, is really going to help the defense. I think you're paying a lot for the edge rushers. You're You've really geared up in the secondary. I think the cornerback position is better than people think it is, and there's a lot of really good young players there right now. And I think that just the defensive front is going to kind of carry this team. The trade-off to that, under a salary cap, you're not going to check every box. You're going to have to prioritize certain positions. And in the past, I think the Titans prioritized the offensive line. They're not now. I think, as I wrote in there, I think they were third in the league in spending on the O-line just last season, and now they're in the bottom half of the league. And that's mostly off the Saffold move. And I think, that's a concern to me. When I look at the line, you've got 2 of the 5 spots right now being manned by players who were on the team last year and not good enough to start. And, so why is this year different where they are good enough? Well, it's because they don't have as good of players. So I think that, to me, is a concern.
No, well, I totally agree it's the top concern. I thought so going into camp, although I thought it would actually get competition from receiver. I feel different about that now. But I guess I could play – well, see, so they have prioritized it in the draft, right? And that's the idea, is to have some lower-cost good players. But the question is, do you have good players? I guess I could – my sunshiny counter would be Lawan's not coming off an ACL. Nate Davis looks like he's in better shape, and he had COVID a couple times last year, and he had all kinds of issues. I
think it was sneaky important to bring back Ben Jones, given what else they're having to do up front.
Yes,
actually.
Yeah. So that 60% could be better than last year what it was. Although I still expect Ben Jones. The poor guy is going to limp. Every few minutes, no matter what's going on.
You just had to have some stability, though.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I'll buy Aaron Brewer at this point at left guard. I do believe. I know he's undersized. I know that's kind of the book on him. I think he is a good fit for what the Titans want to do. He kind of made that case, and I believe him. They need a right tackle, though. And I'm sure it's been well discussed on your show at this point that. I think if you were to poll all of us who go out there every day, what's the position that concerns you the most, we might all say right tackle.
Yeah. So right now, and it does look – every time, one of those two guys, Dylan Radins or Nicholas Petit-Frere, is in there, key moment, I'm like, that competition – the tide may be turning, but it looks really right now like it's an absolute back and forth. What's your sense for that? I'll just make – how about I just ask you for a prediction? Opening day, who's starting at right tackle?
Honestly, a guy who isn't on the team right now.
Spicy.
Intrigue.
Spicy.
It
can't be Kendall Lamb because the Lions just signed him.
At this point, the Titans would have loved nothing more than for Dylan Radins to take that job and sprint away with it. That is exactly what they would have wanted, and we get a week into camp, and now all of a sudden it's regressed, and he's splitting reps with a guy who just got here. Petit-Frere might be doing wonderfully. He might be. And it might be a sign that he was maybe a little better than we thought and he's ready to go. And if so, then that's great for the Titans. But that's not what this felt like to me. This felt like to me Radins wasn't doing what they wanted him to do to take charge of the job. And now they're kind of searching a little bit. So if they're still searching after final cuts, they'll probably find someone on the waiver wire and come in and do it.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. That's another thing Thursday, of course. Those two guys, how much do they play, who gets what reps, and then we'll be scrutinizing every play. Gentry Estes from the Tennessean, always a great guest. Thank you so much, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, guys.
Gentry Estes from the Tennessean, and when we get back on Robby and Rexrode, we will react to some of what he said and get back into that area, the area of concern on the Tennessee Titans. On Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey everybody, Willie Donick here to tell you about Trivia Night for Stars. Think you're pretty smart? Well, come on out Wednesday, August 24th to Boom Bars East and test your trivia skills. I'll be your trivia master. We'll have sports questions, some non-sports questions, and some great prizes. It's brought to you by Nerdy Talk, and all proceeds support Stars and the hope, health, and connection of young people in our community. Register your team of no more than 4 and let the competition begin. Go to starsnashville.org to officially sign up. That's starsnashville.org. See you on August 24th at Boom Bars East.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Is your mattress keeping you up all night? Tossing and turning, needing a new mattress but don't know where to go? Well, shop at Social Furniture today, where they sell comfort. They have all of the top brands like Sealy, Stearns & Foster's, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress. Social Furniture offers sofa beds, loft beds, twin beds, queen beds, king beds, kids beds, and beds for your whole family. There's no waiting, and they have same-day delivery. Visit Social Furniture in West Nashville at 5412 Charlotte Avenue. Forget the big box store. Shop local. Shop social.
33 hours of savings this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Electronic Express. These deals are so hot, they only last 33 hours. Get a Hisense 65-inch 4K TV for just $399 or a JBL Bluetooth speaker for just $99. Save up to 50% on 4K TVs, computers, housewares, appliances, and more. Don't miss out on a Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 for $229 or a Medea laundry pair for just $399 each. Now through Saturday, shop online or at all Electronic Express locations.
It's on. It's happening.
Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter.
Get out of the way. I'm watching the game.
Presented by the law offices of Amanda Gentry.
We may now begin our day.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. And we got tickets to give away. I just realized this, Michelle. So, Pilgrimage Festival, September 24th, 25th, at the park at Harlansdale Farm in Franklin. And by the way, a friend texted me yesterday. Someone from Better Than Ezra started this tournament. Started this tournament. I got tournament on the brain. Got a rant coming up. So I guess they would be a consistent element. But artists include Chris Stapleton, Brandi Carlile, the Avett Brothers, John Batiste, and more.
Better Than Ezra.
Better Than Ezra is part of the more. So what do we think, Michelle?
Let's do caller number 5.
Caller number 5, 2 tickets to the Pilgrimage Festival. Here we go.
Can you read the text you just got during the break about your Mike 1 skills?
Yeah, so, I'll go on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. And actually, Mike from Nashville, first of all, said, please don't give Bobo Stillman any more credit.
Okay, sorry.
I'm going to, Stillman likes to say Bobo, which is something, honestly, a word like I never use, but it's like his word for Homer. And I contend that, and I told him this too, to his face the other day. I said, you are the number 1 Bobo in town. Now, he thinks Bobo is like Homer, everything's like always take the positive spin. No. To me, if you are as emotionally invested as he is, and it turns into like this over-the-top criticism sometimes, see, that to me is actually Bobo behavior. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. There's another word that he likes to use that I don't know the origin of, Scarbini, which I think is his word for a replacement level player, like just a guy.
Oh, okay.
For me, that word is scrub. Like that's the word my dad would use.
Yeah.
Is scrub, like a guy that just sits at the end of the bench and gets in garbage time. So I don't know where. I mean, when he said Scarbini, is he trying to think of Brian Scalabrine, who was kind of scrubbish?
New Jersey Nets sharpshooter Brian Scalabrine. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that one. I guess I need.
I'd also like to. We don't want to give Jared enough credit. We don't want to give Jared too much credit. I do have to say, and I know that she took some heat for this yesterday. Caroline was trying to reference Bjork and called her Bjorn.
Oh, well, there's Bjorn Borg.
Yes, tennis player, right?
Great tennis player. But Bjork, the artist.
Yes, she was
very
looking
underrated.
for Bjork, and she called her Bjork. Bjorn.
Please tell me the context of talking about Bjork.
They were talking about campy fashion. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good.
It was like when Caroline, like Michelle, is a little bit younger than us.
You're literally not even that much older than us.
They're hip. They're cool. Jared and I are the same age. We're not as cool as we used to be.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the fossil over here,
was called a 90s DJ on the text line.
So Mike from Nashville also said, listen to Joe fill in for Robby as a throwback to 90s DJs, LOL.
I don't know.
I mean, I'm all for making fun, like I need to work on my, hey, everybody, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what that mean. What is a 90s DJ? What does that mean?
Casey
how are they
Casey
different from
Kasem?
So like Casey Kasem, I think of like 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah.
America Top 40.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And it's too soon for Ryan Seacrest, in the 90s. So I don't know who you're not like Howard Stern over there or anything like that. No offense.
Well, I mean, I sometimes flirt with FCC violations, but not really. So, let us know what you mean there, Mike. I mean, I'm all for being ripped, believe me, for my Mike 1 work. And by the way, if you'd like to watch that amazing Mike 1 work, you can watch it streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live every day. Video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. So on the Titans front, I think Gentry hit on two key things. One, Malik Willis is the main attraction Thursday. However that goes, I'll be surprised if he doesn't quarterback a half of football. Maybe more. I guess it's conceivable they could give him more than Logan Woodside. I mean, they know what they have in Woodside. You want to get Woodside work? You want him ready to be the backup quarterback? He's going to be the backup quarterback. But if you know that now, and I think it's pretty clear, for anybody who's been out at camp, like if you've been watching this day after day after day, you don't really have any question anymore. And I was open to the idea. Malik Willis, could he leapfrog? Could he make a run and just make it simple? Like, okay, here you go. Here's your backup potential competitor to start at some point, but he's your backup. It's not happening. It's not happening. Logan Woodside is going to be the number 2 quarterback this year.
Logan Woodside is fascinating to me in the sense that, like, if you had to look at backup quarterbacks throughout the league, like, and this would be such a weird conversation to have, but like, where would Logan Woodside rank among backup quarterbacks in the league?
Well, that's a good question, and I would say,
is he
league-wide, he would be rated one of the lowest because no one who knows anything about him.
Exactly.
Right? But there are other backups who fit that bill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, Chase Daniel Chase Daniel is still active, right? I mean, the guy has carved out a fabulous career, like in terms of making money by being a competent backup quarterback. I mean, how many teams has Chase Daniel been on at this point? I mean, that's he was on the Saints for a time. I think he was on the Bears. I think he was on the Chiefs.
It's amazing work if you can get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you hope the starter stays healthy and you're good. You're in that QB room. You got the clipboard. You're helping out.
Yeah, backup quarterbacks become cult-like figures. I mean, think of Charlie Whitehurst when Charlie Whitehurst was here. Clipboard Jesus, if I recall correctly.
That's right. Oh yeah. Well, and sometimes they're the most popular. The backup goalie, the backup quarterback, most popular person in town. But interesting that you brought that up. Pro Football Network actually ranked the backup quarterbacks.
So who's the number 1 backup quarterback in the NFL, according to?
I'll let you guess.
Oh, you're gonna have to really narrow it down.
So I would have. My number 1 would have been Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
He's a pretty freaking good backup quarterback.
Went undefeated with the Saints a couple of years ago when Drew Brees was injured.
He was fine. He's been, and obviously, I think his career trajectory was different before the knee injury in Minnesota. Terrible knee injury.
He started in Denver last year, didn't he?
He had some starts.
Yeah.
Yes. They had him 3.
Okay.
They have Taylor Heineke of the Commanders, number 1.
ODU product. Old Dominion
University. That's right, baby. Little Virginia. Both of us high school, state of Virginia high school products.
Yeah, Heineke started some games. I think, that would have been a good one.
So Minshew 2.
Yeah.
And, Foles with the Colts is a pretty good one for us. So bring it all the way down to, so the thing is, once you start getting into, there's your guy Chase Daniel at 15.
Where is he playing
Once
now?
you start getting into.
Where's Daniel now?
He's with the Chargers.
Oh, my God.
So there you go. My buddy Brian Hoyer. I covered his recruitment in like 04, 03 maybe.
Is he still with the Patriots?
He's with the Patriots.
Yeah.
So then you start getting into, again, when you get to the second half of these ratings, you start getting into names that you just don't know. Or you're surprised they're still in the league.
Yeah, Logan Woodside. I don't know much about him as a football player. And you never really want your backup quarterback to have to go into a game, but God forbid something were to happen to Ryan Tannehill. Like, how would you feel if Logan Woodside had to start a game? Is it better or worse than when Blaine Gabbert had to start that win and get in game against the Colts?
Yeah, it's interesting because with
at least Gabbert, he had starting experience. Albeit,
Blaine Gabbert had some good moments in the league. Obviously, he was a big disappointment relative to his draft status coming out of Missouri. When people, just like most of these high picks at quarterback, he was not close to what he was supposed to be, but he was still seen as a pretty big upgrade over Matt Castle, and I think he was. So I would say there's a big difference there. Again, you're talking about a guy who hasn't started. You want to know how disrespected Logan Woodside is?
How disrespected?
Well, I'll go down to 32. This is Mike K doing this for Pro Football Network. He ranks Nate Sudfeld of the Niners as the number 32 backup, right above Sean Mannion of the Vikings and Tim Boyle of the Lions. I mean, this is the territory we're talking about with backups. The Tennessee Titans backup is ranked 26 in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And who is that? According to Mike K, it's Malik Willis. So there you go. I mean, Logan Woodside is so disrespected, he's a complete afterthought to media who cover the NFL. But here's the thing. I know it's practice, but I've seen a lot of Logan Woodside practice. Mm-hmm. He's not bad.
Right.
I mean, if he was bad, if he was terrible, then they would have moved on. They brought in people to take that job.
Who was the quarterback they drafted from Hawaii a couple of years ago that they late in the draft that they
that was a
was it McDonald?
That was a Cole McDonald.
Cole McDonald, yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of those take a flyer. It was, but probably should have done something else with that one. But they brought in Trevor Siemian. They've brought in Matt Barkley. They brought in different people.
Trevor Siemian to me is like my Saints had to deal with him starting games last year, but Trevor Siemian to me is like the quintessential backup quarterback. I mean, I know he did start in Denver, but
that's the thing. He started before here. He started after here.
Yeah.
And
now I think he's
against
the
Titans,
he's in Chicago now.
But he comes in here and look, rep after rep after rep. He was not close to Logan Woodside. So
I forgot that he was here. Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, when he came here, I'm sure I said it on this show and wrote it, but it was like, okay, well, the Titans have upgraded it back up. No, they didn't. So to answer your question, the way this team's built, especially I think this year, I mean, they've trended, like Gentrius said last segment, the investment in defense has gone up. They've prioritized that. I mean, they're paying a lot for two edge rushers between, they decide to pay Landry. They obviously paid Bud Dupree big last year. Jeffrey Simmons is coming soon. So you got a lot of investment. It's a defensive team. It's a running team. So with a Logan Woodside, who definitely is a classic backup quarterback, game manager, knows everything about the offense. I mean, look, he gets after people out there in the practice field just like Tannehill does, by the way. And I don't know that I'd buy – well, we don't have time to totally get into that, but that's a good discussion.
I do want to say before we go to break, Chase Daniel has been in the league since 2010, has played for 6 teams, and started 5 games.
It's a beautiful life. Just keep getting those big paychecks, man. It's a beautiful life. No, but Woodside is the guy who can come into me in a game or two. If Tannehill has let's say a short-term injury, and he can come in and do enough to cobble together a win for you. Do you want him in that Blaine Gabbert situation, win an in game? No. You don't. And I don't think long-term. I've said this before. If there's a long-term injury to Tannehill, I guess it depends on where the team is exactly then, how much season is left. But that might be where you go to Malik Willis and say, okay, there you go. You learn on the fly in real games with real game plans. You're going to play some teams that have a lot at stake for them. So let's see what you can do. But short term, Logan Woodside's perfect to me, game manager type. And again, we haven't seen much of him in games, of course, but preseason games, you get to see him again this year. I think you can see that he's improved a ton. The first glimpses of him here a few years ago, I thought I would not have guessed he'd still be in the league right now. Yeah, but credit to him for what he's done.
And rarely do teams end up in the situation that the Titans were in 3 years ago, where you have Ryan Tannehill as a backup quarterback.
Well, yeah, it's still.
I know he was coming off of an injury, and in his time in Miami had ended. unceremoniously, but you rarely find that caliber of quarterback available to be a backup quarterback.
For a 4th-round pick where you can dump a lot of his salary back on his old team, pretty sweet deal for the Titans, John Robinson. When we come back, I'm going to stick with quarterbacks because I do want to get back into that Tannehill idea that we discussed with Gentry Estes. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
This is Colton Sissons, and this is Smashville.
Feeds now, Sissons coming on from the left circle, and Colton Sissons puts it in the net.
This is the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network. ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Get a king bed for a queen price at Mattress Firm and save up to $500 on top-rated brands like Sealy and Sleepy's.
Race fans, Nashville's legendary racetrack, the Fairgrounds Speedway, features their back-to-school family night coming up August 13th. Awesome racing action with the Pro Late Model 100, the Outlaws, limited late models, street stocks, pure stocks, front runners, legends, and bandoleros. Get your tickets today at NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing and experience local racing's best at Nashville's legendary track. Get your tickets today. That's NashvilleFairgroundsSpeedway.racing.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN.
Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mates.
Somebody company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have two choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators.
Scores!
Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, Trey Wingo here. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You're just going to let it play?
I'm waiting for Olivia's part.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, what are we doing here?
Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 Game from the Hillside Medical Game Studio.
There you go.
Yes, there's Olivia. So you're kind of going backward. I like that. I still have to text you. I got some key songs we got to play from Olivia.
Okay, yeah.
Some absolute bangers.
This is
if they're
Jared's
deep
worst
cuts, I'm
nightmare.
not playing them.
What's that?
I said if they're deep cuts, no.
No, we mean they are absolute bangers. Don't you got to trust me.
She's had enough hits.
You got to trust me. Well, she's got a ton of hits. Absolutely. All right, I'd like to, before we get back into the Titans, I'd like to ask this question. What does $20 buy you today? It might buy you a trip to the ice cream store with your kids, maybe tickets to a Sounds game, movie ticket, a little bit to spare for popcorn. $20 also will buy a brand new pair of athletic shoes for a homeless child in Middle Tennessee. Yes, $20. That's it. And we're on a mission to help the thousands of homeless children start the school year with a new pair of shoes. Will you join me in that effort? It is a very worthwhile effort. All you got to do is text DONATE to 615-737-1025. Throw in $20. More if you'd like, but $20 is all it will take to make a huge difference in the life of a child. Again, text DONATE 615-737-1025 right now. Let's make that first day of school even more special for these kids. Thank you so much for your support. Back in here, talking Titans. And Adam, I want to go back on Ryan Tannehill. Because I will say, first of all, I did not hear the segment that Gentry referenced with Jared and Caroline talking about that. I do know that Jared seems to be on this really obsessive thing about pronouns, like saying like my instead of talking third person. Or talking second person. I don't know about you. I talk second person a lot. And I write it, actually. I probably write second person more than I should, but it's like you know what I mean? It's like, you're trying to get healthier, you're trying to lose weight, but you still eat a whole pizza at night. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying, like, for example, second person. You know what I mean? Like talking second person as opposed to I feel this, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why Jared's on that kick, but he may have a point on Ryan Tannehill and how he is saying things. I tend to agree, though, with Gentry. And I've been asking questions to this effect of various teammates of Tannehill because I'm writing something about Tannehill for down the road here for The Athletic, about leadership, about any sort of difference in approach, being more assertive, maybe, anything like that. And I got to say, I don't think there's a huge difference. I don't. Now, I think there's obviously a difference in the outside view of him. And if there's that big of a difference, I don't care who you are. I don't care how insulated you try to make yourself. Like, you notice that somewhere in there it affects you. I mean, he's conscious of that. But I agree with Gentry. I think Ryan Tannehill has been a very good leader all along. I think one of the things that Mike Vrabel liked about that switch going back in 2019 was just automatically having a more vocal guy in that position. We know who Vrabel was used to being around. That is right. Yeah, Vrabel knows well that Brian Hoyer will get after somebody, including Brady. Like, what are you doing, Tom? But that wasn't Mariota. We know that. Mariota struggled with that. At times, he could come out of him, but it wasn't consistent. I think Tannehill's pretty natural at that. Maybe he's not Brady or Manning or guys who just absolutely probably can only go at guys if you're that level of player, right? Manning was a guy, go back to his time with the Colts, he got into some stuff with teammates. He would go off. And Brady, too. He'd scream at his OC or whatever. But those are also a couple of the top quarterbacks to ever play football, right? I think Tannehill has been very good. I did notice the Kyle Phillips thing. We talked about it on the show already. He really got after him last week on a route. Then, it's like same sort of route later, goes to him. He runs it. It's like you see it pay off. But I don't think there's actually that big of a difference with Tannehill. I think ultimately, again, it's still just going to come down to, him handling those moments. When they come. But you got to earn the moment in January, and that's going to be a lot on him too.
Yeah, I think in general, when we think about leadership in sports specifically, we have a frame of reference. We think of, Tom Brady is a perfect example. Tom Brady, he's no Dan Fouts, but he's
Thank you.
But Tom Brady, he is to put it lightly, a fiery competitor. And I think that sometimes we as sports fans, not just media people, but sports fans, conflate that edge with good leadership.
Good point.
In the sense that if a player is not screaming at his teammates and demanding excellence in a showy way, I mean, we all watched The Last Dance during the outset of the pandemic. And Michael Jordan is in a tier of his own when it comes to leadership. You can question his leadership, but
borderline psychotic behavior.
Right? But he would get after guys, and he wanted to pick up guys and bring them to his level, even if, quite frankly, not no one could really be at his level. But he was trying to lift the potential of his teammates by getting in their face, challenging them, belittling them if he had to in order to do it. And I think generally in sports, we think, let's use the Predators as an example. Roman Josi, publicly, is a very mild-mannered guy. So was Shea Weber. So was Mike Fisher. But and I don't know how many times I fielded questions from Predators fans about the leadership qualities of the captains because, Shea Weber.
When things are starting to go poorly.
Yeah, Shea Weber wasn't, flipping over Gatorade coolers and screaming at, his teammates in the dressing room. Like, you can be a good leader without being demonstrative. And I think with Tannehill, because Tannehill is, from what I gather, a pretty, like I just use, mild-mannered individual. Like, when he's up at the podium, and things of that nature. And I know that's sort of a manufactured environment because they're in front of the cameras. But when you see instances of him on the field, getting after rookies and demanding that, correcting mistakes, that's a good thing. But I think oftentimes, we've all been guilty of this. If we conflate, as I said, yelling with leadership. Like, if you're not yelling, if you're not jabbing your finger in your teammate's chest, you're not a good leader. That's not inaccurate. That's inaccurate.
No, that's a great point. And I think that I think you have to have some level of being able to hold people accountable if you're in that position. Like, if you're a quarterback, a point guard, captain of a hockey team, like, you have to be able to do it however you do it. You have to be able to – you can't leave everything to coaches. Every single coach in the world in any sport will tell you, like, if there isn't some player policing and accountability, like, within them, like, we're screwed because the coaches can't do it all. And there's just something different about one of your peers who you're playing with on the field or on the court holding you accountable. But you're right. There are also people who scream and yell who aren't great leaders because, like, they're not respected or they don't actually have good relationships with people, right?
Trying to think of who comes to mind when I think about that.
I mean, look, so here's something that just came to mind for me. I know people love when I bring up Michigan State, but I covered Draymond Green's 4 years in college. He was always loud, always aggressive. I'd say early in his career he wanted to be that kind of guy, but he wasn't. First of all, he wasn't yet a great player, but also some of his teammates didn't really like that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he came on too strong, which, if you know him, everybody knows who he is now in the NBA. That probably isn't surprising. He got to his senior year, when he was just a tremendous all-around player. He was Big Ten Player of the Year. He won a national player. He was amazing as a player, but also he had figured out that, it can't just be always yelling. This guy, you yell at him, he shuts down.
Right.
So yell at that guy, you're hurting yourself. I mean, this brings me to parenting too. Like, different kids are different. So that's part of the nuance of it, is how you got to be able to, like, pull people aside and actually, like, have people over at your barbecue like Tannehill did, and have real relationships.
Like, we don't know what Ryan Tannehill is like in the quarterback room when they're watching film. We don't know what.
He's probably not yelling and raving.
Right.
Yeah.
This is why we need Hard Knocks to come to Tennessee. I mean, we need to see this.
If they actually allow him in the room, that's the problem with Hard Knocks these days.
Yeah, but we don't know. We can ask his teammates. We can ask him. They can. They'll probably speak in generalities. I'm sure, as you've asked people about that for your upcoming story. I'm sure you're getting a lot of that. You're looking for specific examples. You're probably, you may have gotten some, but you're probably not getting as much as you want. Because trust me, I've written those stories too, and it's hard when you're trying to peel back the curtain and really look at a guy when no one else is around. But I think because of how last season ended, not just the game, but I know that Tannehill's news conference after the game, struck a nerve with fans because he didn't take accountability for the loss. And then he did not speak to reporters on the last day of availability. That did not sit well with people.
Yeah, didn't sit well with me.
So, so there is an expectation that he should, this is not a good term, but it's the only one I can think of at the top of my head, man up. And I think that's why, like I said yesterday, everything he does is going to be microanalyzed this season. And it comes down to even how he talks to his teammates on the practice field.
Yeah. No, I agree. And look, I think since then, and he came a little late, and he had the press conference that people freaked out about the mentor thing.
The picture of him on the boat with the energy drink or whatever.
Yeah. Since then,
the renovations at his house, whatever.
Right. It was a little bit rocky. But he's done the right thing since then. He's played well. He's leading well, but I think he's led internally about the same way the whole time. Texter on the text line, driven by WisconsinHoney.com. Unnamed says authenticity, not authenticity. Authenticity is key to leadership. Don't be an in-your-face leader if you never have been before. Be authentic. People will respect that and follow. Agree.
Yes.
And if you get pissed off, it's okay to say it. You do want people to at times say, especially with young members of a team, like, hey, this is how you do things correctly, and it's okay to say it aggressively. But yeah, you got to also actually get to know people.
Yeah, not everybody's going to be Ray Lewis. There's an example of a guy that's, in your face. Not everybody's going to be Ray Lewis.
Yeah.
And that's one way of being a leader, but it's not the only way to be a leader.
And frankly, I think just like with coaching, I think it's probably going to be less frequent and common moving forward.
Kids are a lot more sensitive these days, Joe.
Yes,
I'm sure you've noticed that.
Yes, they are. Speaking of sensitive, I've got a Rex rant. I'm very upset about this. Coming up, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
If you're on the road between downtown Nashville,
they're still in good shape to make the playoffs.
And I-840.
Players make it clear they don't want to be somewhere anymore.
There's a new way to hear all your favorite shows and sports programming on 102.5 The Game.
And he has added players that do fit.
What I was worried about is that they were still just going to keep the goal.
It's 106.3 FM.
Think about all the good Titans teams. This is very much so a run-first offense.
Now you have two choices to hear Nashville's best sports talk. Check out 106.3 now and add it as a favorite.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobis today. Warm once again, high temperature right near 90, right near normal for this time of the year. Heat index values in the middle 90s. Scattered showers and storms this afternoon through the evening. Not worried about severe weather, but heavy rainfall is possible.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Are you ready for this?
You've never seen the PBR like this. Buckle up for the ultimate weekend in Western sports as the PBR Team Series invades Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, August 19th through the 21st. 8 teams, 3 days, 1 champion. Don't miss your chance to watch history as it's made. Get your tickets now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. PBR Team Series. Bull riding will never be the same.
Cutting the price of your wireless bill feels good. Really good. Actually, it feels great. You should try it out. So cut your bill by switching to Straight Talk Wireless. Now offering our $45 Silver Unlimited plan with 5 gigabytes of hotspot and nationwide 5G on America's largest, most dependable networks. The $45 Silver Unlimited plan from Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
A month equals 30 days. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. An oil change with quality oil like Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic can help your engine get more out of every mile. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $35.99. Get what you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Progressive knows that most people don't get to experience making a game-winning touchdown or a walk-off home run. So we're going to talk to you like you did something great so you can bask in the glory.
Oh, man, I was there. That time that you bundled your home, auto, motorcycle, and other vehicles with Progressive? That was awesome. People were freaking out. I bet you get this all the time, but can I get an autograph?
If you can't bask in sports glory, at least you can bask in the glory of saving money when you bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay, Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Chase McCabe.
My play didn't work for him, and the way he coached didn't work for me.
Willie Donick.
It's survival of the fittest.
And Derek Mason.
A win-win-win across the board.
Chase, Willie, and D-Mace. Weekdays from 10 to 2.
Presented by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling.
On Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app. The time is now for the Rex Rant
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
on Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ooh, that's a good choice. Oh, that's a... Man, I did not expect this horrific song to greet me. Welcome back, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3. That game from the Hillside Medical Game Studio. Joe Rexrode, Adam Vingan in for Robby Stanley, Michelle Konezovic, absolutely getting under my skin with that song that needs to. Now,
I need you fired up, Rexrode.
I mean, that is like, don't we have a consensus, Vingan, that most people don't want that?
I think so. I think
it's time for a change.
I think that, you know, it's not as played as it was a few years ago, but it remains, and you know, I think it's time to put that one to bed.
Hot take. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you also think it's cringy to watch Office Space, so.
True.
Did you watch Office Space?
She says
5
it's
minutes.
cringy. 5 minutes of it is cringy. It's like one of the best comedies ever made.
It is.
Help me.
It is a fabulous movie.
Help me. Cringy. It's cringy to hear you say that. That's cringy.
You watched 5 minutes, and it was cringy.
Like the first 5 minutes, he's like in traffic,
and then
he's trying to like get in the plane. Like, okay.
And Michael Bolton is rapping, and then someone pulls up alongside of him, and he turns it down, and he rolls up his window.
Oh God, it's so great. Please,
such a
please,
great movie.
Michelle, please. All right, I got something else for you guys too. Okay. And look, I think this has already been a rant. It's probably going to be a rant again. Okay. But this is something we all need to join together on. Okay. I really think that that this is something that the sports public in this country can agree on. Okay. We keep getting little warning signs. We got another one yesterday. I want to just tell you something. If some clueless idiot walking necktie really thinks it's a good idea that the NCAA tournament gets rid of automatic bids and becomes a power tournament invitational, that person or those people need to be called out by name. They need to be set straight. They need to be shamed. They need to be identity thefted. They need to be doxxed, trolled, muted, blocked, reported. Anything that can be done, they cannot be allowed to win, okay? They cannot be allowed to mess with our best tournament. They cannot be allowed to rip the soul out of it, okay? And I'll give you this effing rant every effing day and say effing so many effing times that I'll probably finally get a violation. This is not happening. So every ounce of power we have, everybody who is a fan of this tournament, we need to band together. This is the reason that I'm all mad about this. So this is a television report from Wink Television near Florida Gulf Coast, okay? Zach Oliveri talked to the athletic director the president, FGCU, Dunk City. We all remember that?
Yes.
President Mike Martin. So this is what Mike Martin told him, quote, March Madness will become much more controlled by a handful of schools. Automatic qualifiers that we now get from being in the A-Sun will disappear, end quote. And there's a lot more comments like that. You know, what's our budget? Maybe 15, 16 million a year. What's the budget at LSU? 200 million, pretty close, right? Obviously a lot of this is part of a discussion about everything that's going on with realignment and all this stuff. Football, the conferences. We're going to talk to Chris Vanini later. We got, the Big Ten now is going to take CBS. That SEC intro music, that's going to be Big Ten games. Big Ten, not going to be on ESPN. It's going to be a line in the sand. A lot of stuff going on. But my God. Okay, so in this studio, either by fan or alumni, we have represented Kentucky, Duke, Michigan State. Okay?
And Syracuse.
And Syracuse. There you go. Okay, so there's 4 of the biggest brands in college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So would you like to see an NCAA tournament of just Power 5 teams?
No.
Michelle, would you like to see it?
Absolutely not.
And your
listen,
team just got smoked by St. Peter's.
As much as I hate, that's what makes it so special. They're going to ruin
I mean, the fact that he even has the oxygen it has at this point, it's really disturbing to me.
I mean, think about the fabulous stories that we've had. We've had St. Peter's most recently. We had Loyola Chicago, Butler. I mean, think about Gonzaga. I mean, if not for the NCAA tournament, we would know nothing of Gonzaga. Now, Gonzaga has turned into a power team. It's not in a power conference, but they have turned into a power team that can't win the big one. But Gonzaga was a team in the late 90s, right? That who knew who Gonzaga was?
Casey Calvary and absolutely
Davidson with Steph Curry,
Butler, VCU,
Golden Retrievers,
George Mason.
So these teams have made runs, and then you just have the one time, right? You have the Maryland, UMBC, all this stuff.
Yes, UMBC.
The thing that it's not just the tournament; it's entire seasons built on the dream of making it.
Yeah,
the communities that are sewn together by this understanding that there is a prize at the end where one of these teams in this little conference in these smaller towns where they put, they have 5,000-6,000 people at these games is going to get to go play North Carolina or Michigan State or whoever. And it's just these asshats. I mean, I seriously cannot believe that they're even thinking about this crap. It makes me so mad. And it's not I'm not going to let it happen. We can't let it happen. It has to be rebuked violently before it even gets started. Football drives the bus. Football's driving realignment. Things are going to be all mixed up and everything. But this tournament, you still have that.
I remember
it can't change.
I remember my freshman year in college was the first year that American University qualified for the NCAA tournament by winning the Patriot League. And they were a 15 seed. Actually playing Tennessee. They drew Tennessee as second seed, I think, in Birmingham. My roommate camped outside the ticket office at AU. I think he was one of the first people to buy a ticket for that game and hopped on a charter bus from Washington, D.C. and drove to Birmingham to be at that game against the Volunteers. And that was a huge deal. I mean, I know that D.C. was used to having college basketball success because of Georgetown, and to an extent, even GW has had some good teams. But this was the first.
But there's a team that's out too,
right? But this was the first time. I mean, I was a senior I think a junior. Yeah, I think it was a junior in college junior in high school when George Mason made its run, and George Mason, of course, in Fairfax, Virginia. Even
my sister's alma mater.
Even back in the southern part of Virginia where I grew up. Like, it was a big deal when George Mason, when they beat UConn.
They beat Michigan State first, which was,
right.
And they got all the way to beating.
I think they beat Carolina too.
They did in the second round, and UConn was the best team in college basketball.
And I think that game was in D.C. at the, I guess then Verizon Center, and that was a huge deal when George Mason made it there. So yeah, the soul of the tournament would be taken from us if those stories, if it's just it's Kansas and Kentucky and Duke and Michigan State and Gonzaga.
Well, now it'll be like, oh, wow, good job, Rutgers. Okay, Florida State. Okay, no. Okay, they have bigger fan bases. Great. It's such an awful, awful idea. And I don't think it's going to happen. But, man, let's start getting mad right now. This is not done. This is just maybe this should be a weekly rant. Should we just?
I agree. I'm actually very, very mad about this right now. So yeah, I think this needs to be every Tuesday. I think that's good.
Every Tuesday. We need to seriously. I need to know names of people who actually think this, and how could you possibly get there? I need to know names. They need to be public figures. Anyway, that's the Rex rant. When we come back, we will have Teresa Walker from the Associated Press. Robby and Rexrode, ESPN 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You watch The Game. We talk the game.
You can't just pick up one guy and be competitive in the playoffs.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen. Red Hot Chili Peppers are back. Anthony, Chad, Flea, and John live on stage. World Tour 2022 with very special guests, The Strokes and Thundercat. This Friday at Nissan Stadium. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. Check more at RedHotChiliPeppers.com.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
O'Reilly. Improve your vehicle's gas mileage and power with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts. And right now, buy one 6-ounce bottle and get one free, plus earn double O Rewards points with your purchase. Save money on gas and boost performance with Royal Purple Fuel Injector Cleaner at O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly.
Stay cool this summer with AC Pro and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, get a $15 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after mail-in rebate with the purchase of select AC Pro ready-to-use refrigerant products that include a hose and gauge. Beat the heat before you hit the road with AC Pro at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
5X480. Dayton B100 V-Belt, one of the many parts Grainger carries. It's also the item that helped Rob carry the day. The job was on hold, deadline fast approaching, but a quick search on Grainger.com and Rob found his part. And with same-day pickup at his local branch, he and his crew got the job done, safely and on time. Get supplies and solutions for every industry with real-time product availability. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Grainger is with you and all the ones who get it done, with 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen to Stillman & Company with me, Caroline Fenton, all season long on ESPN 102.5 The Game for your chance to win Nashville Sounds tickets courtesy of 312 Pizza Company in Germantown.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne, broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball. We got pass rushers.
Awesome game. Second flag in the air.
The Game.
A Cromwell media station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive. This is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Third hour here, Robby and Rexrode. 102.5, 106 through The Game, Hillside Medical Games Studio. Joe Rexrode, Adam Bingen in for Robby Stanley, Michelle Knezovic. We're all trying to simmer down from being very upset about this idea of the NCAA tournament going to only Power 5 teams. And we're going to welcome in Teresa Walker from the Associated Press, who can talk about anything. But let me start with that, Teresa. Will you join me in being absolutely outraged at the mention of the NCAA tournament going to all Power teams, Power 5 teams?
Well, I'll say this. A team you once covered would be very happy at that because Middle Tennessee State would never have a chance to upset the number 2 team, Michigan State, ever again.
There you go.
So it's
think about how many incredible moments that we'll always remember that would just be washed away.
Exactly. I mean, does anybody – that's what makes the NCAA tournament so special is that chant. You know, Murray State when they had Ja Morant. TSU when they had a couple of their players come through. Anybody remember Popeye Jones? It's like, Bryce Drew and that incredible shot with Valpo. I mean,
Austin Peay beating Illinois.
Yes.
Middle Tennessee beating Michigan State.
Right.
Well, Tennessee would probably like it because then they wouldn't go up against Sister Jean and have lost when they were in good shape. But That's the thing. Those are the moments we remember. Butler making it to the championship game. I mean, hello, you take those teams out of it and turn it into the Power 5 Invitational, and it's going to be boring. It just will, because you lose the chances for Cinderellas. You just miss out on that magic. And, one magic moment or whatever that the tune is.
One shining moment.
There you go. Thank you, Adam. The one shining moment, those are usually comprised of the buzzer beaters. And where do many of the first weekend's buzzer beaters come from? Non-Power 5 teams. So, if you just want to kill the product of the NCAA tournament, go right ahead and go with the Power 5s. But it'll be very interesting, because guess what? You're going to be cutting out a lot of people who'd rather be watching.
I remember that 2010 Butler National Championship game fondly.
That's right. Yeah, that was like, gosh, a Duke team that wasn't all that great, but won it all.
They came together at the right time, and
Yes.
Gordon Hayward with the half-court heave.
That was it almost went in. Yeah, I mean, it's like basically, I understand. It's like the very elementary, mindset of, well, the bigger fan bases. So why wouldn't you want all the bigger fan bases watching? And that's just such a misunderstanding of what that event is, that I'm hoping that this is all just a bunch of screaming and yelling for nothing, because it's not ever going to get traction, but I am worried.
Well, and that's the thing, Joe. I mean, we see it going on the football side, seemingly, right? With all the way USC and UCLA are now, leaving the Pac-12 for a different conference and changing the college sports landscape. And the biggest worry has been about rivalries in football and basketball. But again, that UTC, I remember a year where Chattanooga went to a Sweet 16, and you get to learn about new teams and their cool nicknames and what makes them special, and teams that are able to keep, even now in this day and age of the transfer portal, keep teams together and give them a chance to grow something. And then the people who are talking about this, it's like, seriously, what are you thinking? Dollar signs only?
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we're just preemptively stopping something that's never gonna gain steam. But we must be vigilant. We must be vigilant.
Absolutely.
So switching gears, Teresa, to the team that we've been watching a lot of. You and I and a lot of folks out on those steamy practice fields. Right now, as the Titans take a little break in preparation for that first preseason game, maybe if there's one thing that stands out to you about preseason camp so far, just the prevailing story in your mind, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to go with a little bit of an oddball. Robert Woods. Guys, so much has been made of Traylon Burks, with the trade of A.J. Brown, that Traylon Burks, this rookie's got to come in and absolutely replace A.J. Brown. The thing that's going to ease this entire offense's transition from Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Anthony Ferkser, is the fact that Robert Woods, it's been kind of stunning. The guy tore his left ACL November 12th, and he's out there in the off-season program with a brace, and you're like, okay, good, this is a great step. But then you see him in camp, no brace, and he's just, it's like, did this guy really tear an ACL last year? I mean, is this why he missed the Super Bowl with the LA Rams? And yet we're seeing him do this. So he's been out there building that chemistry. And yes, Traylon Burks, he's kind of the second factor, because one thing we kind of saw last year, there was not a whole lot of, the offense struggled in training camp a year ago. There were a lot of balls being batted, not, hitting the ground. And, this year, Ryan Tannehill's been off to a strong start. And part of that is, a big part of that are the new weapons that John Robinson brought in. Third on that, Austin Hooper. I mean, that's a guy that, this team, when they let Johnny Smith walk last year in free agency, they never replaced him. And now they've got that piece to come back into this offense. So with Derrick Henry, the fourth one, we're going to be watching Derrick Henry and his foot the entire year. Every time he goes to the sideline during a series, we're going to be looking, are they looking at his foot? Is he okay? Oh, he's just getting a breather. Okay. That's what we're going to be doing all season. So, the defense, I'm not too worried about. 10 of 11 starters back, from that playoff game. Yes, they've got to, settle down and see what that young cornerback group can do for them. But the offense and how it can go throwing the ball and giving Ryan Tannehill help to bounce back from all the interceptions, all the sacks last year, that's going to be key. We still have massive questions about the offensive line for sure, but at least now he's got some guys to help him when the pass protection struggles.
Well, and that's you hit on the thing that I thought was the biggest concern going into camp. I still do. I will say on that depth chart yesterday, Teresa, they listed Aaron Brewer and Jamarco Jones as an or situation at starter. I don't buy that. That's not what we've seen. Also interesting that they listed Caleb Farley and Roger McCreary as an or situation, which is interesting. Obviously Molden's been out, so McCreary's been in the slot, but I could buy that, I guess, before the end of camp. But the competition right now is at right tackle, right? It's Dylan Radins, Nicholas Petit-Frere. Pass protection to me is the number one concern, and if they get it, I'm with you. I mean, I think a lot of things have been addressed around Tannehill. Other than that, but what do you think of? It's hard to totally get a gauge, right, in camp, and we'll get maybe a little bit better idea if the regulars are out there at all for extended periods in preseason. But what is your read on that offensive line, and in particular that position battle at right tackle?
Well, that is the true position battle on this offense. I mean, the either or at left guard. It's like we've pretty much just seen Aaron Brewer there at the left guard spot with the ones. When we thought, Jamarco Jones, when he was signed, it's like, well, that's the guy they've got to be going for left guard, right? No, Aaron Brewer, the tougher than a $2 steak guy, undersized around 290, 295, is the guy who's essentially grabbed that spot and just keeps holding on to it. But with Dylan Radins, he's the second round pick from last year. He's had a year in the NFL. He got that surprise start against the Niners in December. And then yet you've got Nicholas Petit-Frere. Dylan Radins came from an FCS school, played one game in all of 2020 because of the pandemic. And then you've got Petit-Frere coming in, Big Ten, Ohio State. He looks the part of a starting tackle, and now they've been rotating them and alternating them, and that's the one true competition, and I'm curious. I mean, we're going to have to see more. I'd like to see, the games. I'm hoping that they both get chances to play on Thursday night. Sorry, today's Tuesday. Can you tell it's camp time?
Mm-hmm.
And those joint practices, though, I think are going to be the ones that really tell the tale. Against the Bucks and then against the Cardinals. And that one could be a bit, you as much as you'd like to hone that down, they've only been in pads for just over a week. So that race may take a bit. On the defensive side, let's face it, when it comes down to Caleb Farley, Roger McCreary, I can't tell if that's a nod to how well McCreary has been playing, or, maybe it's the fact that, it's the NFL. Oftentimes you start the game with three defensive backs out on the field. And let's face it, the way Roger McCreary has played, he deserves to be considered a starter already because you just see him making so many plays and playing such sticky defense. It's fun to watch this young man.
Teresa Walker of the Associated Press with us on Robby and Rexrode. Teresa, you mentioned Thursday night we see the Titans in preseason action for the first time against the Baltimore Ravens. If I'm watching the game and I'm thinking to myself, what is Teresa Walker going to be watching for in this game? What are some things she's going to be keeping an eye on? Because, I trust your judgment more so than a lot of people. What are you going to be looking for? What should I watch?
Well, I'm curious to see who starts the game. Presuming it's Ryan Tannehill, but maybe he goes a series. And then I'm going to be watching Malik Willis and Logan Woodside to see how these two compete and whether, Willis he's got enough time. Can he truly push for that number 2 spot? Or is this going to be just a learning year? The pass protection, because, again, of what we were just talking about on the offensive line. Taylor Lewan is healthy at left tackle, but we do have the questions at left guard. We have the questions at right tackle. And then I want to see this defense. I want to see, some of these guys. We feel pretty confident in that front four. Who's going to step up behind them, and can they pick up kind of where they left off last year with one difference? They've got to force some turnovers. So those are the areas that I'm going to be watching, and then seeing who rotates in, who takes the field first, and then who's the first to rotate in coming off of the bench after that will tell you an awful lot about who's moved up here through these first 2 weeks of camp.
Yep, will be interesting. And in the meantime, a couple days away from the blazing hot practice field. So enjoy that, Teresa, and we will talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Joe and Adam.
Teresa Walker, Associated Press. When we come back, we will react to some of what Teresa said and get into some of the possible rotations Thursday night for the Titans. Robby and Rexrode at 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
At some point, it's a combination of who did you play and what does your skill set look like.
Get the best analysis of the big stories in the sports world with ESPN's Jason Fitz.
If you reach for a quarterback in the draft because you need one, you're going to set your franchise back 5 years.
Join Fitzy every Wednesday at 4:30. Presented by Blood Assurance. Jason Fitz.
I am 5'9.5"
on ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Indeed believes less is more. That's why they have powerful tools to help you source, screen, and hire quality people faster. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, football fans. Dak Prescott here. And I'm here to tell you that with NFL Sunday Ticket only on DirecTV, you can watch your favorite team no matter where you live. Because NFL Sunday Ticket gives you every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. So switch to DirecTV and learn how to get the 2022 NFL Sunday Ticket season included at no extra cost. Call 1-800-DIRECTV.
With choice package and above, 24-month agreement required. Call for details.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Hey, homeowners and home buyers, listen up. Loan Pronto has 30-year fixed rates with APRs in the 4s and 15-year loans with APRs that start with 3. Hey, it's Willie Donick. Don't be confused by the media's hype about interest rates. At Loan Pronto, their rates have plummeted recently, and they're currently refinancing homeowners who locked in a 5 or 6% rate. So if you've got a rate over 5%, or if your lender has you pre-approved or locked in at anything 5% or higher, you need to call Loan Pronto now. Not all lender rates are created equal. Loan Pronto's rates are down big time, and you need to take advantage, whether you are buying, refinancing, getting cash out, or even if you just closed a few weeks ago. Call Loan Pronto today, and you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Loan Pronto can help keep more money in your pocket. Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
We want to hear from you.
Thanks for taking the call.
Join the conversation. Call or text at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Please, Mr. Please, don't play B-17. It was our song, it was
I just want to let that play. Way to come in for the chorus. About a young woman in Nashville, Tennessee. Olivia Newton-John, rest in peace. That's a jam. Please, Mr. Please. Welcome back to Robby and Rexrode. Joe Rexrode, Adam Vingan, in for Robbie Stanley, Michelle Knezovic. Thank you for playing that.
I like it, too. I approve.
Also, a jam is the coverage of Titans training camp going on by 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. The best coverage of Titans training camp, presented to you by Parman Energy, your one-stop petroleum solution. As for this show, you can watch it streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every day. Our video streaming brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. we're reacting to Teresa Walker, and there is some reaction on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. First of all, we'll get back in the Titans. I do want to go ahead and address this. So on the whole ridiculous idea of no automatic bids and trying to make this a Power 5 invitational, Maddie says, that will kill college basketball for me. I don't keep up with the full season, but start watching bubble teams near the tournament. T from Clarksville. Devil's advocate, when are those teams ever going to win a national title? It can't happen, and those teams may want that chance. So I've texted him back and said, so the 17 and 13 crappy Power 5 team that gets in is going to win it? It's a 68-team tournament. There's always going to be tons of teams in a 68-team tournament that aren't going to win it from the start. That's not the point. I mean, you have a tournament that big, there's a select group of teams that really are going to have a chance to win 6 games, right? Or more if you have to play in a playing game. But it's
not the point.
No, the first weekend is pure magic in sports. T does respond. I'm with you. It shouldn't happen. I don't want it to happen. But in Austin Peay at Tennessee State, they may rather have a chance at their own tournament. All I'm saying is if they play a tournament with schools their own size and own backing, they may have a chance. It's called a conference tournament, T. That's what they do. They play each other at a neutral site, sometimes home sites, depending on the league. And then you have an incredible celebration and win because you get to be in the NCAA tournament.
There's no B tournament.
No.
No.
It's just, no. I'm sorry, T. It's just, no. It's perfect. I mean, that's the thing. The difference between football's driving the bus, football's more money, football's king, okay? But basketball, men's and women's basketball, have these tournaments that are perfection, and they need to stay the way they are. So there you go. On the Titans front, I had a text here, and I now have.
While you're thinking about it, a little breaking news on the tennis front.
Okay.
This is from the New York Times. Serena Williams, the 23-time Grand Slam champion who has been the face of tennis since winning her first U.S. Open in 1999, said Tuesday that she planned to retire from the sport after playing once more in the tournament, which begins later this month.
Wow! So this is it.
And this was from a As Told To cover story for Vogue. So she said in an interview with Vogue that she plans on leaving the tennis world after the upcoming U.S. Open.
The U.S. Open. Wow. Well, you knew it was coming soon. Kudos to Vogue. You don't hear about Vogue getting a scoop like that too often. Nice job, Vogue.
You talk about like one of the most dominant athletes ever. We've had this conversation. She's right up there.
Short list. Yeah. Incredible career.
Did you see King Richard?
I did.
Thoughts?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I learned a lot from it. Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
You?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I saw
all
it.
the way around?
I did see it, and I liked it as well.
Didn't think it was cringy. That's good.
Didn't think it was cringy.
Well, congrats to Serena. No, I mean, it's very short list. The thing is, the most dominant, tennis players ever on both sides are like still playing right now, right? I mean, really. Although I still hearken back to, like, for me, I like the Evert, Navratilova, Lendl, McEnroe, that era, Borg, Graf,
Sampras, Agassi,
Vilander. Yeah, like that still is like my glory days. But the best tennis players of all time have been just going on right now. And
Patrick
for Serena
Rafter.
For so
do you remember
long.
Patrick Rafter?
I do.
He would always be in the finals against Pete Sampras, I feel like, and never
it just
win.
Gets like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". Yeah.
Anyway, did you find
Michael
that text
Chang in the French Open against who the heck? And he was having to underhand serve and eat bananas. Remember this? It was like '89 French Open.
Well, I was born in 1989, so no,
yeah,
I don't remember that.
30 for 30.
I don't either.
Man. 30 for 30. Yeah, look it up. He was having cramps and he had to just he would just quickly underhand serve to get the ball in play.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing stuff. Gosh, who the heck was he playing? Someone help me out with that on the text
I'll look
line.
that up while you read the text line that you were looking for.
Well, here's a text, unnamed texter. Don't know if this was discussed already or not. I was just now able to tune in. But is the world ending? Because Jared has had nothing but good to say about Tannehill the past week, it feels like. I feel like, yeah, it's an interesting deal. I didn't hear the whole discussion about Tannehill taking ownership. Again, I think it's a little bit overblown on that front. I think Tannehill's been pretty consistent as a leader, but it is interesting. We've talked about this. I probably ad nauseum at this point, but I don't like. There was nothing that Tannehill was going to do in camp that was going to change how I felt about what's ahead. I suppose if he was throwing picks left and right, you're like, man, what is going on? He's played well, thrown a couple picks. He's going to be good if he gets the support, especially from the offensive line. I think he's going to have a good season.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. And by the way, Michael Chang defeated Stefan Edberg in the final of the 1989 French Open.
Oh, wait. Michael Chang won. That's right. He actually won. For some reason, I thought he lost in 5 sets.
He won in the final, 6-1, 3-6, 4-6, 6-4, 6-2.
And that was the cramping. Yeah, there you go. Jeff pops into the text, and thank you, Jeff Edberg. Man, incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
But in regards to Tannehill, we talked about this yesterday. He is at an age in his mid-30s, entering his mid-30s, where unless you're a freak of nature, like a Tom Brady, like a Aaron Rodgers. Oh, by the way, I did see a story today referencing something we talked about yesterday. The NFL said that Aaron Rodgers' use of ayahuasca was not against their anti-drug policy. So he was good. He was good to go using the hallucinogenic drug.
Good for you, NFL.
But when it comes to Tannehill, I feel like there's I don't know. I want to say a low ceiling, but oftentimes athletes, quarterbacks at that age, they're not getting significantly better unless I'm forgetting somebody who had a really late career renaissance, and I'm sure that's happened. But I think is it possible that he could be the player that accounted for 40 total touchdowns in 2020? Right, he had 33 passing touchdowns and 7 on the ground, I think.
He gets 7 in, yeah.
Yeah, so could he be that player again? Sure, but I have to think that Tannehill will be better than he was last year, but he may not be as good as he was a couple of years ago. And if he settles into that middle ground and he throws, 27 touchdowns and has 9 picks this year or something like that, that's not a bad season. I'm not sure how much. He can improve on last season because it wasn't very good, but how much better can he get?
Yeah, those guys. Rich Gannon had some of his best ball late with great Raiders teams. Kerry Collins here,
yes,
kind of a disappointment, but he was very solid here. Alex Smith,
Alex Smith is a good one.
There's a guy who. Number 1 overall pick, and then obviously finally played really good football. So it's happened. Yeah, look, Tannehill is the 2020 level of play that everyone talks about, and he aspires to. I'm going to say it over and over again. It's the difference between an offensive line that was playing at an incredibly high level early in that season especially, but really all year it was fine to very good, and what we saw last year. So is this year going to be different? The investment is in picks. The investment is in in hoping a second-round pick pans out, and if not, that a third-round pick pans out, because the first-round pick flamed out. So can the second-round pick from last year or the third-round pick from this year give you stability at a very important position? You hope that their competition with each other raises the level of play. I think both of them are playing well. Radins definitely is better than a year ago. There's no question. There's no question that he's worked his butt off to try to get there. If he's put in this offseason and he's worked the way he has and it still doesn't work out, then it's probably not going to. And it's going to look like a bad second-round pick. I'm withholding judgment until we really get the answer on him. And like I said yesterday, Adam, that also could be, Dylan Radins he talked about this yesterday. Actually, I think it was Gentry and I were talking to him about just how different, he is naturally a left side guy. It's always going to be programmed in his brain. He's just the left side. He's always a left tackle. He's always left tackle. So,
how difficult is that transition?
I think for some people it is It is challenging.
Like, I'm legitimately curious. That's not me, like, belittling.
I think some people do enough of both that it's probably easier. You know, it's just like some things. I mean, look, I do some things with both pretty well, and other things not. Like, right? I mean, even like dribbling a basketball. I'm actually probably a little better with my left hand.
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed, but I do so. But I think for him, if you've been totally programmed on one side, you're just more comfortable there. He's obviously had to work on the right side. Down the road, though, could he be, it may sound scary right now, but could he be the left tackle of the Tennessee Titans? I mean, there's a lot that's at stake right now for what they're doing. And when we come back, I've got some very strong takes on some very, very clean and very legible notes from Titans camp yesterday. Robby Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Well, attention men, have you been struggling with erectile dysfunction? Well, Hillside Medical Clinic has a breakthrough treatment for ED that does not require any pills, injections, or surgery. And right now, Andrew joins me from Hillside Medical Clinic to tell us all about it. Andrew, what's going on?
Well, that's right, guys. If you're struggling with ED, you're probably sick of those pills. I don't blame you. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of a technology. It's called wave therapy. Gentle pressure waves go through the skin into the blood vessels. It only requires a few 10-minute treatments, and it's clinically proven to get rid of the erectile dysfunction without the use of pills.
So, Andrew, what kinds of studies have been done on this wave therapy technology?
Well, it is extensive. 60 clinical studies. Think of that, from 5 countries all over the world. This is heavily vetted. Even Cambridge University studied this, and it was called the new standard of care for erectile dysfunction.
And, Andrew, you've got a special offer if our listeners call in right now.
We certainly do. Guys, if you're ready to end the ED and regain your love life, grab your phone, give us a call. The assessment, exam, and blood flow ultrasound is going to be free this morning. And this very popular gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom, you'll love that. It's worth hundreds of dollars. Call us now. It's all no charge.
You heard it, guys. You can put a stop to your erectile dysfunction by treating the root cause of the problem. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now to qualify for that offer at 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your ED and regain your love life. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now at 615-576-5000.
Titans training camp is underway.
Talking Titans?
What wide receivers make the team?
Traylon Burks, the physicality. Robert Woods, route concepts and how to get open.
Who starts on the offensive line?
It's a full-on right tackle battle.
What other storylines will stand out?
Malik Willis, some of the best he's looked in camp.
Titans training camp coverage is fueled by Parman Energy, now hiring fuel drivers. Apply now at parmanenergy.com and by USA Hemp Store on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
If you speed, there are lots of sounds that you might hear, like the sound of your vehicle crashing, because eventually speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Winning this award is truly like winning the Super Bowl of car dealer awards for Mercedes-Benz.
Edwin Vickery, General Manager of Mercedes-Benz of Music City.
Culture eats strategy for lunch. You have to hit on all cylinders to win this award. You can strategize all you want. You got to still have the right tools, and our tools are our people.
Live the dream with 3-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best award winner, Mercedes-Benz of Music City. Go to mbofmc.com.
Houston Clinic Orthopedics at TriStar Skyline offers world-class orthopedic care. The doctors at their Dickerson Road location specialize in general orthopedics, arthroscopic surgery for general orthopedics and sports medicine, hip, knee, and shoulder, as well as hand, wrist, and elbow trauma. They offer same-day appointments, too, so you can get back to enjoying life sooner. Schedule your appointment now at tn.houston.com. Conveniently located at the TriStar Skyline Medical Center in Nashville. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Robby and Rexrode, you're on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stomach Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming.
Get the extra point, no problem.
And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey Nashville, this is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game from the Hillside Medical Game Studio. Joe Rexrode here with Adam Vingan in for Robby Stanley this week, Michelle Knezovic, and we're talking Titans, and we're talking notes from yesterday. I mean, this is the last day of practice notes for, the next open practice is going to be Saturday. They're off today. They travel to Baltimore tomorrow. They play Thursday. There's just a Vrabel presser Friday. So the next time anyone's going to be able to watch them practice will be Saturday. And by then, let's be honest, fans will have seen a preseason game. There's a lot of people who won't play in the preseason game. I will disagree with what Teresa Walker said earlier. I could be wrong. I don't think Ryan Tannehill's going to get a series. I don't think he's going to get a snap in this game. In fact, I wouldn't be shocked if Tannehill, Henry, and some Simmons, some people like that don't even make the trip. Vrabel was non-committal on that question too. But we'll see.
Like a good trip to Baltimore, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, the place Jimmy White took us last time for those crab cakes, I wish I remember. It was like
Inner Harbor, somewhere in there.
Oh, my gosh. Those crab cakes. But they were so loaded with crab. Like, it was all crab. And that, kind of expands in your stomach. I may have overeaten a little bit. I know, shocker. News flash on that one.
I've eaten enough times with you to know.
Yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah.
We are on a different journey now, though, Joe.
Yeah, you've seen it unfold. By the way, someone on the text line asked how my journey's going. Down 11. Down 11. Let's go.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm trying to be good. Trying to be good. Salad. Mix in those salads. Had a nice salad last night. So these are the last notes of a Titans practice for a while. And again, after preseason game, there's some level of sort of mystery that fades away for fans, right? Now, there's still going to be good practices with the Bucs and Cardinals. There's a lot of good stuff still to report on, but this is kind of an end of a phase. And I only had two pages of notes, but one thing that kind of, not just from yesterday, but from the last few days, that I would make as an observation right now, there's a little bit of a seesaw effect going on at receiver for me, at rookie receiver. Treylon Burks, I'd say, looks like maybe hitting a little bit of a wall. He just hasn't made as many plays recently. He's not fallen off majorly or anything. But yesterday he kind of got chewed out for not running a route the way it was supposed to be run, which led to the ball being a little bit too out in front of him, which led to a drop. There was a misalignment by him on one play as well. And again, this is happening. I mean, look, Mason Kinsey ran the wrong route the other day. He's been around a little bit. Kyle Phillips, we've talked about, has been chewed out by Tannehill a couple days ago for running one wrong. But Phillips is on the other side of the seesaw for me. He is surging. Kyle Phillips is making plays all over the place, without question. Actually, Michelle got some comments from Kyle Phillips. We're going to listen to that right now.
I'm real excited, It's hard not to, look forward and think about the game, but each day I'm just kind of focused on getting better and better and trying not to look too far ahead. A little bit, but, like I said, I'm trying not to look too far ahead. Still got a couple more days of practice, so I'm just going to take it one day at a time and get better. It's good, I'm just coming in each day and trying to earn more trust from him, I feel like we have a pretty good connection, so we're just going to try and keep that going, and, it's gone up tremendously. The first day, I was going with the ones, a little bit of jitters here, but each day, been able to catch a couple balls, and so feel like I belong. I feel comfortable and ready to play some football. Yeah, I'm real excited for it, and I just want to show that, I'm a reliable receiver. Whatever the team needs, I'll give it to them. They want me to go block someone, I'll go block them. Need to make some catches, I'll go catch the ball. Yeah, I think I'll take a little bit of a moment, enjoy it for a little bit, but then it's time to block it and play the game.
How about some seamless editing there?
I was going to say, great editing, but also that is a young man who knows his sports cliches.
and no doubt.
That is a young man who has been coached, I'm sure.
Yeah, thanks, Chip Kelly.
One day at a time. What else was in there? Just trying to help the team in any way I can.
Yep.
Not get, all that stuff. It was just...
God willing, I can help the team. Yes. Yeah.
Be more selfish, Kyle Phillips.
Well, I will say one thing, Kyle Phillips, coming off the practice field yesterday, Naquan Jones, Michigan State product, terrific defensive lineman, fined for the Titans, actually started yelling at us, the reporters, to say, please tell Kyle Phillips that the Bruins are going to get crushed when they go to cold weather stadiums in the Big Ten. So that was a nice little argument. And by the way, Kyle Phillips, very confident the Bruins are going to be fine. They haven't been very good in the Pac-12 either. But anyway, we'll talk about the ridiculousness of college sports soon. But on the receiver room, Kyle Phillips is making a lot of plays. I feel like there's a pretty clear room for me. I agree with Teresa, what she said earlier. I think Robert Woods is one of those stories of camp that, although he's a known commodity, which to me kind of puts someone on the back burner a little bit in camp, usually, he is coming off the ACL. He looks absolutely fine. He's been a tremendous add. He's going to be, I think, the leading receiver on this team this year. So Woods, Burks is going to make plays for this team. Don't know how many. Don't know exactly what his level of participation will be early in the season, but he's very important. Nick Westbrook-Akine, per him, we're going to change his pronunciation. He's going to be a key player too. He and Tannehill have a really good connection. But look, after that, Kyle Phillips is going to be on this team, and I think he's going to help this team. I think Kyle Phillips on 3rd down, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, move the chains. That's a guy that you just, he should win matchups in those situations. His feet are terrific. And he, again, to me, he's doing more downfield lately. He's really impressing of late. So there's your 4. And then my 5th guy absolutely is Racey McMath. And I'm really interested to see if Racey McMath can actually be that take the top off the defense guy in situations, in spurts, on occasion, that could help this offense. I don't think he's going to be a regular heavy snap guy by any means. Everybody I just mentioned, they're going to get the bulk of the snaps. But Racey McMath is making this team, in my mind, and I'm excited to see. Like a guy like that, I could see maybe getting some action Thursday,
My question for you is this. So tell me if I'm being hyperbolic here. But I felt like there was some talk around town at this time last year that the Titans offense had greatest show on turf potential.
No, boy. Oh, yeah.
There was it because you had A.J. Brown emerging. You had Derrick Henry coming off a 2,000-yard season. You had Julio Jones in the fold. You had Ryan Tannehill coming off of a great season. Obviously, a lot of things went wrong. That didn't happen. So now you're replacing, at least at receiver. So last year, you had A.J. Brown, you had Julio Jones, you had Nick Westbrook-Akine, you had Anthony Ferkser, if you want to throw him into that mix, right? For, in terms of pass catching.
Mm-hmm.
You had Chester Rogers. Those were the
Marcus Johnson. And Josh Reynolds was supposed to be a key member of that. But
so you've got that group from last year. So this year you have Robert Woods, Treylon Burks, Austin Hooper, you have Westbrook-Akine, you have Kyle Phillips potentially. Do you think that the group of pass catchers this season is better than the group of pass catchers last season? I mean, the group of pass catchers last season, namely Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, had a bit more name recognition than some of these guys. But do you think that this group of receivers / receiving tight ends is going to be more effective than last year's group?
Yeah, if you put them all together, including tight ends, and you're adding Austin Hooper and you're adding Chigakonkwo, who again I continue to be intrigued by him. I think it's a clear yes in terms of variety. Clear yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's also a clear yes in terms of availability so far.
Yes, that is very much.
I mean, it's not even close when you take that into account. Is the upside as high? No. I mean, A.J. Brown, and again, a year ago, you got to go back to a year ago, too, what you thought at the time. Still thought Julio Jones had tremendous seasons left in him, at least 1 or 2 left in him.
Yeah.
And probably that's not true and ever going to be true.
That's going to be an intriguing storyline come that joint practice with the Buccaneers.
Oh, yes, it will. If Julio is participating.
I don't know how much he's been practicing at Buccaneers camp, but
I know early on he lit it up, but he did that here too. So, but no, I think it is better. My question is, especially with an A.J. Brown, and we've talked about this, but he's a guy who can manipulate a defense. He's a guy who can take over a game. So just having one guy like that, I know a lot of Titans fans want to just want to discard him and diminish what he was, but he was special. He is special. And that's my question is, without that kind of guy, how does that affect the whole? We'll continue on that thought after this break. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Let's put the green flag in the air and turn them loose.
Nashville's home for NASCAR.
He's going to try to make a big move here.
It's brought to you by the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We are your racing station.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobis. Today, warm once again, high temperature right near 90, right near normal for this time of the year. Heat index values in the middle 90s. Scattered showers and storms this afternoon through the evening. Not worried about severe weather, but heavy rainfall is possible.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
33 hours of savings this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Electronic Express. These deals are so hot, they only last 33 hours. Get a Hisense 65-inch 4K TV for just $399 or a JBL Bluetooth speaker for just $99. Save up to 50% on 4K TVs, computers, housewares, appliances, and more. Don't miss out on a Samsung Galaxy Watch 4 for $229 or a Medea laundry pair for just $399 each. Now through Saturday, shop online or at all Electronic Express locations.
Are you ready for this?
You've never seen the PBR like this. Buckle up for the ultimate weekend in Western sports as the PBR Team Series invades Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, August 19th through the 21st. 8 teams, 3 days, 1 champion. Don't miss your chance to watch history as it's made. Get your tickets now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. PBR Team Series. Bull riding will never be the same.
If you missed the latest from Stillman and Company, delivered by TriStar Moving.
I have been impressed or surprised, or I'm not sure what the right word is, by the timing that Tannehill has with these guys so far in training camp, especially the young guys like Burks.
Right.
I
the
feel
back
like
shoulders, the comebacks, he's throwing it before they even get into their breaks.
And he and Julio never had that, and they had been in the NFL for 10 years, both of them. I figure that if I was to say, okay, what's it going to be easier for there to be a timing relationship, Tannehill and Treylon Burks, who's a rookie out of Arkansas who couldn't make it through the offseason program, or Tannehill and Julio Jones, who played 10 years in Atlanta, my gut would say it would be Julio Jones. I go back to that Cincinnati playoff game, and not just the interceptions, but there were balls behind Julio, and it felt like they weren't ever in rhythm. What do you make of that kind of timing element that looks like it's back as far as Tannehill's concerned?
I really like it, and there's a degree of trust, and it's interesting how Tannehill thinks, and this is something we saw with A.J. Brown where it's like, okay, I'm going to put the ball in this area, and I trust that it's going to be you or no one else. And that's what's developing with Treylon Burks.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it when he talked about the catch radius and the guy who is going to go up and make plays for you. You could have a level of confidence in that. So I think that's what it is. They've done a really good job of just, I don't know if it was extra reps or what. I've been really impressed with the comebacks and back shoulders. I mean, that first day we were out there was one where I swear Burks hadn't even started to throttle down. Like, I'm like, Dad, he's about to throw this football away. And all of a sudden,
I think that was the first practice, too.
The first practice. The first practice that we saw.
Yeah.
Not the first practice
Not the
they had
secret
together.
practices.
Yeah. That right there let me know right from the jump, like, oh, this timing is developing.
Tune in Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6.
On ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Need an appliance? Shop the new appliance truckload event at Lowe's, going on now. From refrigerators and ranges to dishwashers and laundry pairs, we have a large selection of appliances from the brands you trust. Plus, get store-wide savings by shopping other in-stock categories. Go to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowes.com to shop the appliance truckload event and find what you need now. While supplies last, valid through 8/17.
Welcome to Allstate, where driving safe saves you more. And it should. With DriveWise in the Allstate app and your safe driving skills, you can save 40%. Add it to your policy for personalized driving feedback and save. Lower your rates, match your expectations with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
When you love riding a motorcycle, you want to ride it everywhere, even getting a dental checkup.
Mr. Carter, wouldn't you prefer the chair?
I'm fine on my bike, Doc.
Well, let me know if you feel any discomfort.
And when you love saving money, you want to save even more. That's why Geico makes it easy to bundle your motorcycle and car insurance.
All done, Mr. Carter. Remember to brush, floss, and lubricate your drive chain regularly.
Kickstart your savings with Geico Motorcycle. Bundle and save on the things you love.
Jared Stillman.
This is a team that the entire city is losing their minds over.
Caroline Fenton.
It's one of the youngest teams in the league. They don't have a single player over the age of 30.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, Hillside Medical Game Studio, talking Titans. Getting through these notes. All right, let me get to the notes. I promised the notes. I'm going to get to the notes. They are short. I'm going to be quick and hit the key points. One key point, other than, like I've been talking about, we've been talking about the receivers. Dylan Radins, Nicholas Petit-Frere. They are absolutely in a battle. That's a position battle. Left guard on the depth chart says it's a battle. That's not a battle. That's Aaron Brewer. Cornerback says Farley or McCreary. I'm keeping an open mind. McCreary has been playing the slot with Elijah Molden out, and he was out again yesterday. But I'm going to keep an open mind on McCreary having a chance to challenge Farley. I just think Farley, there's goods, there's bads with him. But overall, guy looks like a starting cornerback in the NFL to me, and maybe a plus starter for this team if he can stay healthy, move the way he's moving. He's got some traits that are potentially special. Yesterday, NWI, Nick Westbrook-Akine, 2 drops early, kind of surprising. Christian Fulton would maybe get credit for a PBU on the first one, but it's jarring to see Westbrook-Akine ever drop the ball. I'm sorry, Westbrook-Akine. I'm sorry. Let's just go NWI. So that's an interesting development. Shakur Brown, Michigan State, unsigned, recent signee, in for McCreary getting those slot reps because McCreary was out yesterday. Don't know why. Could be a day off. More likely a minor injury. Was on the bike, but Shakur Brown making some plays and getting some plays made at his expense. Julius Chestnut, a long touchdown. Running back, rookie from Sacred Heart. A fantastic Malik Willis pass to Briley Moore. Keep Briley Moore's name in your mind. I'm watching him Thursday. I think he's making a run to try to be that fourth tight end. Tommy Hudson, probably the favorite, but keep an eye on Briley Moore. I think a practice squad spot at least would be possible for him. That, you know what? He's also a guy, if you leave him exposed, you never know. Phillips with a terrific move on a slant, beating Shakur Brown. Dupree would have had a sack on one play. I had another big-time catch from Phillips. Mason Kinsey with a really good catch against Brown on the sideline, which brings me to the text line driven by WellsCountyHunter.com. Got a few different questions on these matters. One of them is about Kinsey, and I'm going to find it here from gosh darn it, Will from Nashville. Okay, he says, okay, you believe Phillips makes the team and maybe plays meaningful minutes. Yes, Phillips is going to make the team, and I think Phillips is going to be like a lot of dedicated slot guys. Those obvious passing situations, he's going to be out there. Like, again, when they're in too tight, which I think they're going to be in more this year, you're going to have two big outside receivers. I mean, like, when they come out at the opening series, I expect Robert Woods and Nick Westbrook-Akine to be out there. I think Treylon Burks will have a role for sure, and I think Kyle Phillips will have that role in those passing situations. Will from Nashville asks, does Kinsey make it? Also, any kicking game, punting and kicking changes expected? No, on the last part. We'll see. Could Stonehouse push Kern? We'll see. Randy Bullock has kicked extremely well in camp, and there's no competitor right now anyway. And Mason Kinsey, no. He's not going to make the team, I don't believe. That'd be a huge upset. He's been a really nice – he was a preseason story last year. He's been a very good practice player. He's good. I think he's probably a practice squad guy this year. Also on the text line, Tony, it's Tony in Smyrna, also known as Scott. Any Fitzpatrick comments? So, to me, Des Fitzpatrick is number 6 in the pecking order. Des Fitzpatrick is better than last year. There's no doubt.
I would hope so.
He's also faded a bit lately. Now, remember, this always has to be considered. Some of these, you're watching guys make plays. There's still quarterbacks making decisions as to who they're throwing to. He actually had a really nice route and catch yesterday, but he had a couple days like last week where it was like, ooh, Des Fitzpatrick. I think he's going to make it. I think he's going to be the 6th receiver, but I'm not confident in that. And to me, Racing McMath, kicking game is considered here too. I think he's ahead of him for sure now. He has really worked hard to become a receiver who can do different things out there. I wasn't sure that was going to happen. So Des Fitzpatrick is definitely one of those guys who's going to be nervous around cut time, and these preseason games are big for him. Make those plays when they're available to you.
No, for sure. And I know that Des Fitzpatrick had a rough camp last year, so I would hope that he
got cut.
Yeah. Well, how often does that happen where a rookie wide receiver gets cut?
That you moved up to get middle rounds. I mean, no, it doesn't happen a lot. They were upset, almost. I would say upset last camp. And
disappointed.
And Mike Vrabel was calling it out at times. I mean, he's responded, but it's just look, Racing McMath. There just aren't many guys like him. So it's interesting. We got a caller on the phone line driven by WellsCountyHunter.com. We got Adam from Portland. Adam, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Hey, pretty exciting the lifestyle change you're going through there, man. I'm happy to see it. I think it's cool for you, good for you.
Thanks.
I'll kind of piggyback off of that. You could be the inspiration for me. How about that?
Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Alfalfa sprouts.
The wind beneath his wings, so to speak.
Hell yeah, man. All right, so I know you guys are super hyper focused on the offense because they're obviously what we have to worry about. I don't think the defense is too big of a struggle, but if you're looking at a weak point on the defense, I saw Roquan Smith. I have to put my fanboy hat on for a second and go, oh my God, it'd be so great to have that guy in the middle of our defense. But I think of Monty Rice. This guy, number one, he was a reach, I think, when we picked him. He's not very big. He's not very fast. He doesn't do anything great, and he stays hurt. So I'm thinking that's the weak spot of the defense. I doubt very seriously we'll be able to have the leverage to push to get a player like Roquan Smith. But still, man, I do not like that spot at linebacker.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Adam. Well, Roquan Smith, by the way, this is something we can get into a little bit later too. So we're up against it, but demanding a trade, asking for a trade, requesting a trade, heck of a player. Yeah, look. So here's my quick take on the Titans linebackers. And for one thing, I would rule this out as any kind of possibility when you decide to pay Zach Cunningham. It's not going to happen. But I like the Titans at starter a lot there. I do. The depth there is one of the most concerning spots. And Monty Rice, look, I'm not sure what he can or can't do yet, honestly. I know there's some people in that building who believe he can be a very good player. But I absolutely agree with you, Adam, on availability. You got to have it, so we'll see if that comes about here. They need a clear third guy. Chance Campbell impresses me out there. You know, they've got some other options, but it's not ideal. But you paid Zach Cunningham. You're going to lean on those starters. Obviously, you know, Zach Cunningham is really a two-down backer, but he's a heck of a two-down backer. And David Long, I think, is going to be a really, really good player this year for the Titans. When we come back, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We'll get back to the Titans later. We're going to talk with Chris Vanini from The Athletic about college football, SMU's craziness, and this Big Ten SEC TV battle brewing. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
You watch The Game.
Line to left, coming on Newstrom. Base hit, Sounds win.
We talk The Game.
But they knew he'd be really good. Well, if they don't make that move, they don't win those championships.
We are The Game. Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. All GIA diamond engagement rings marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price.
That's right. The vault is open, and we're selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices. Now for a very limited time.
The GIA is the world standard in diamond grading, certifying accuracy and documenting quality, so you can buy with confidence.
Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half carat up to 20 carat stones, all shapes, rounds, princess cuts, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals.
There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GIA certified diamond, perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for best selection. It's Genesis Diamonds GIA Diamond Extravaganza.
Save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings, now for a limited time. One per customer, please.
Exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Harman Energy is now hiring drivers for their Nashville team. Harman Energy is Tennessee's petroleum solution for major industries. Right now, they're offering competitive compensation. Fuel tank wagon drivers start at $26 an hour. Fuel transport drivers, $29 an hour. Plus, there's a $4,000 sign-on bonus for CDL drivers. Top quality benefits and a great place to work, Harman Energy employees provide totally outrageous customer service. Come be an employee owner with the Harman team. Apply now at harmanenergy.com.
More than 95% of people incarcerated will come home like I did. I'm William Arnold, director of the new Tennessee Office of Reentry. When they come home, we want to be ready to help remove barriers to employment. It's okay if you've been incarcerated or justice involved. Help is available. Go to tnworkready.com or visit your local American Job Center.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
tnworkready.com.
Start the second half of the baseball season the right way and turn Ks into cash and big hits into big wins with FanDuel Sportsbook. Right now, new customers can step up to the plate with a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just sign up using promo code PLAY. Place your first bet, and FanDuel will give you up to $1,000 back in match bets if you don't win. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code PLAY to get started with your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000.
21 plus and present in Arizona, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, West Virginia, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Illinois. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia.
From the Hillside Medical Game Studios, WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne.
Robby and Rexrode, Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stoic Company. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Terang, it's a high fly ball.
We got pass rushers.
Awesome Game 7.
Checkered flag in the air. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Mixing sports and a little bit of fun.
This is fun!
On your morning drive, this is Robby and Rexrode. With Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Fourth and final hour here on Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Joe Rexrode here, Adam Bingen in for Robby Stanley, Michelle Knezovic. And we're going to talk a little college sport. My gosh, there's so much to talk about with college sports. And someone who knows so well about all of it, our friend from The Athletic, college football writer, and one of the greatest former college journalist slot receivers to ever come out of Michigan State, Chris Vanini. Chris, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Good to talk to you, Joe.
Well, you've got, I don't even know where to start because, first of all, you had a fantastic story about SMU, and it's actually, I love this story. You talked to Eric Dickerson, and he, of course, has revealed, he got $1,000 a month and the gold Corvette and everything, but of course, the SMU days, and now you've got a collective there that is really stepping up. I love the full circleness of this story with SMU, which of course got hit with the death penalty in '87. So first of all, tell us about that and what it means that an SMU has a collective stepping up to this extent.
Yeah, SMU, famously known for getting the death penalty in the 1980s, is now a leader in paying players once again. But it's just legally. And actually, the story I wrote last week started back in the spring because SMU sent its coaches out on the road for recruiting, and they tweeted out a graphic about, like, hey, our coaches are going on the road. And in the graphic, they included a picture of a gold Trans Am, which anybody who remembers, that's the car that Texas A&M boosters gave to Eric Dickerson to try to get him to go to A&M. So my story idea was like, hey, how do we look back upon old rule breakers, especially SMU, the death penalty, for getting in trouble for doing the things that are now legal, giving away cars, paying, giving players money and stuff like that. So that was the original idea of the story. And as it started to come together, I realized, hey, SMU's got a collective. They're starting to pay players again. And hey, next week, yesterday, they've got a big announcement coming with a new collective. And this new collective will pay every football player and every men's basketball player, I believe scholarship player, $36,000 each for community service, various types of work and stuff like that. That's on top of another collective that has been spending about $1 million for various things. So you've got at least $4.5 million committed to SMU athletes legally, which is just kind of wild to come full circle.
On that other $1 million, and that's $1 million total spread around, is that correct?
That other $1 million is the original collective, which has a deal with, I think, 20 to 30 football players for various things. It could be you got to come to some events, you provide some inside information on practice. And so it's not every player, but it's a handful that have their own other NIL deal with the other collective.
Gotcha. Yeah, and so we're seeing, because obviously you've got some of the more discussed and talked about, reported on collectives, A&M and Tennessee and various, big deals that we know about, right? But I feel like, but we also have, and this isn't the only place, where it's sort of like a baseline, basically like a salary. Like you come here, you're gonna have some comfort built in just by being in this program. I mean, that'd be great. Hey, it's not the massive deal for the star quarterback, but $36K if you're scholarship, offensive guard or whatever, punter. I mean, that's nice, right? I mean, that's comfortable. Do you think, Chris, that we're going to get to the point where that's almost like just assumed and built in to most programs or a lot of programs?
Well, you got to have the money to do it. A couple weeks ago, Texas Tech announced a similar situation where every football player was going to get $25,000. Oklahoma has one. Barry Switzer's involved. Again, coming full circle, where every player is getting, I think, $40,000 to $50,000. And I think Texas has had one offensive lineman. BYU announced one last year for walk-on players. So if you have the money, it's something that's starting to happen. The issue is where it gets a little weird is kind of maybe might be an NCAA violation because the NCAA is not allowed to pay for play. You're not allowed to get money just for being on the team. So the way these collectives get around it is they're doing work. They're doing community service. They're coming to events. They're helping make backpacks for children or stuff like that. So that's what a lot of people have been waiting for is the NCAA going to enforce anything, really? And so far there has not been any sense that they will. And as a result, you've got more and more collectives stepping up to create what is essentially a salary for players in exchange for doing some work outside of football.
Do you think they ever will? I mean, where do you think that's going? I mean, you got people basically begging for congressional interference. I mean, I'm assuming no.
Yeah, I have honestly, I don't know. I do not think the idea of going to Congress is going to work. Congress is always dealing with more important things. It's not happening in this Congress. There are some people in college athletics who think, hey, if Republicans get control of Congress, we might be able to get some sort of skinny NIL deal where it's just some minimum stuff, except for you've got Democratic senators like Chris Murphy and Cory Booker who want full-on athlete Bill of Rights type of stuff. They want a lot. So it's very unlikely that Congress is going to come to an agreement on any of these things, in which case, is the NCAA going to do anything? Nobody knows. They went and talked to the people at Miami. They went and talked to the people at BYU, but nothing more has happened, as far as we know. And I think a lot of boosters have just been trying to call their bluff. And at this point, it's not clear that anything's going to happen.
Meanwhile, television is look, it's a battleground, and it's very fascinating. And for people in the SEC around here who don't know already, that beloved SEC on CBS theme song is going to be Big Ten on CBS in a few years. What's your big takeaway from the what looks like it's going to be just another big dividing line between the SEC and Big Ten, the two power conferences in terms of television? I'm stunned, Chris, that the Big Ten is going to get out of the ESPN game.
Yeah, essentially, Fox has half of the next Big Ten deal. They've been working to see who the other half's going to be, and it's most likely going to be a mix of CBS, NBC, and maybe Amazon or Apple potentially. And, it is surprising. It's the first time in like 40 years that the Big Ten will not be on ESPN. And ESPN, is what made college football a national sport. It's what drives the conversation still. But the sense you've always kind of gotten from people in the Big Ten is that Kevin Warren likes the networks, and he likes the idea of exclusive windows and being treated as a big deal. You're going to get the Fox Big Noon game that's almost always going to be a big Big Ten game. You're going to get the big the big CBS game at 3:30, a Big Ten game. And then you're going to get the big NBC game, another Big Ten game at 7, 8 o'clock at night. And so that type of presentation, that type of audience you can reach has always been appealing to the Big Ten. And yeah, it's not done yet, but it's most likely ESPN is going to be left out, which is probably good news for the Pac-12 and the Big 12, because now ESPN needs to fill some space that used to be filled by the Big Ten, and they may, be able to pay more to the Big 12 and the Pac-12 to potentially keep those leagues, together and around. But yeah, you've really got ESPN's got all of the SEC and none of the Big Ten, so you've really got kind of a dividing line here.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I'm going to go to a tweet of yours. Chris Vanini taught me how to tweet, by the way, many years ago.
It's usually not a good thing when people say that.
I was so resistant to Twitter back in the day. Here's your tweet. Quote, a big question about the Big Ten TV deal, what impact it has on Notre Dame. Does the Big Ten likely having NBC and Irish rivals like USC, Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, and more money to offer finally convince them to join? Do you think this has, if it goes this way, an impact on Notre Dame to the Big Ten?
It's very possible. I mean, Notre Dame for a long time now has gotten less money than if it had joined a conference. That's just part of the sacrifice they were willing to make because they wanted to be independent and the value that comes with them being independent. But it's getting to the point where Notre Dame, if they join the Big Ten, would be giving up less and less. They could still be on NBC. They would still play USC every year, and you could bring back the Michigan State Purdue rivalry games. I think one question will be, what does the potential college football playoff setup look like? If we go to the 12-team model that we talked about last year, that was a pretty good setup for Notre Dame. So if we have that same model, maybe they don't want to join a conference. But if there's a new, different kind of format that puts the pressure on them, that's possible as well. I just think we're getting to a point now where Notre Dame would have less and less to give up other than essentially saying they're independent. They're only like half independent now anyway. They play 5 ACC games a year. So what happens if you flip out those 5 ACC games with 8 or 9 Big Ten games, many of which are your rivals anyway? it's not at that point. It's not that much of a difference. That's the big question. That's the big realignment domino that has to fall if Notre Dame does or does not make a decision. That's kind of the thing holding everything together.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. One quick last thing here, Chris. I melted down about this earlier. I know you've talked about this, talked to people about this. Please tell me that this stupid Power 5 only NCAA tournament idea is not going to gain traction.
Look, it's something that has been talked about among low major administrators for a while now, something that may or may not come out of the transformation committee, which is trying to create big changes in Division I. And it's a real concern, whether that means you take away the automatic bid for the mid-majors, whether that means an expanded field and lets more power conferences in. It's a very, very real concern that I feel like not enough college basketball people are talking about at the moment, and it may just spring up on them when they have a surprise. Automatic qualifiers for NCAA postseason in all sports is on the table of something that's being discussed. And yes, it's possible that the NCAA tournament, as we know it, one of the most popular events in sports, could change. I personally really hope it doesn't, but it's something I think people need to kind of keep an eye on.
We can't let it happen. We can't let it happen, Chris. I'm I actually seriously thinking about it. You know, of course, you retweeted the TV report yesterday from the Florida Gulf Coast president. Man, I mean, that cannot be allowed. But we have time to fight it at least. Chris Vanini, The Athletic, does a fantastic job covering college football and college sports. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yep, thanks for having me.
And when we come back on Robby Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, we will react to that. I guess I'll try to avoid another meltdown, but the TV question, the SEC having ESPN potentially as its domain while the Big Ten is elsewhere, what will that mean to you as a fan? Coming up next, Robby Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Join Chase McCabe for Chasing Checkers every Sunday morning at 8 for all the news in the world of motorsports.
Joey Logano gets the very first victory in the next-gen car
while hearing from the big names.
Two-time champion Kyle Busch.
Being able to bring NASCAR, the Cup Series, back to Nashville is cool.
It's Chasing Checkers, presented by Apple Collision Centers and the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway.
On ESPN
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
We're Saia LTL Freight. For nearly a century, our team has been committed to driving business forward. From Lady Liberty to the Golden Gate, Superstore to Corner Store. We go that extra mile, expanding our team to better serve you. So trust that when you partner with Saia, we take every delivery personally. Visit Saia.com for all your shipping needs. That's SAIA.com.
With your home value up again, you are sitting on a pile of money. So don't let it sit there. Use it. Willie Donick here for my friends once again at Loan Pronto. Introducing Loan Pronto's Equity Line of Credit program. You don't have to refinance, but you can access up to 97% of your home's value. Get cash now to pay off all your credit cards or do that home improvement project. Get your down payment for a new home or stash away for a safety net. You can get $50,000, even $100,000 or more out of your home. And the payments are crazy low. Think what you could do with $100,000 right now. Loan Pronto makes unlocking your equity easy, and they can probably even waive the appraisal. Don't just let all that home equity pile up. Turn your house into an ATM machine and get the cash you need. Call Loan Pronto now, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
It's a fact. Guys hate going to the doctor. But when it comes to erectile dysfunction and low testosterone issues, men from all over Middle Tennessee have been thrilled seeing Dr. Alderson and their providers at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Men all the way up to 95 years old have jump-started their sex drive and energy levels. Lots of men suffer with ED for years, but now they're able to enjoy sex again. Tom from Nashville said, "The Tennessee Men's Clinic has changed my life. I have been able to be intimate with my wife for the first time in 5 years. She thought this problem was because of her, but the pills never worked for me. I had given up until I went to the clinic and realized there were more options for erectile dysfunction. Now I'm happy and my wife is happy. A visit for only $99, and that includes all testing, including a PSA and testosterone test. Give the guys at the clinic a call at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090. Or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Visit our website to learn more, including side effects, treatments, extra, results vary.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the whoops. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Well, you've got the whole world listening. What do you got to say? Never miss a moment of the show. Subscribe to the Robby and Rexrode podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. We may now begin our day. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
The final countdown to the fall sports season is approaching, and before everyone hunkers down in their man cave, we're providing the ultimate date night opportunity, a pair of tickets to see Michael Bublé at Bridgestone Arena on Tuesday, August 16th, 1 week from today. Plus, qualify to win a Davidoff cigar, blend bar cocktail, and gift card. You tune in to Chase, Willie, and DMAs today during the noon hour for your chance to win, brought to you by Blend Bar with Davidoff cigars. Joe Rexrode, Adam Vingan, Michelle Knezovic back here on Robby and Rexrode. Just talked to Chris Vanini, and let me tell you, I don't like his answer on the NCAA tournament, and it just further strengthens my resolve that we must, as a nation, unite against whatever freaking TV executives think this is a good idea. In the meantime, speaking of TV executives, really fascinating stuff on the football front here. I'm going to go to friend of the show, Nicole Auerbach, and her story last night on The Athletic on this. So this is, barring a last-minute surprise the way she wrote it, ESPN's not expected to land one of the Big Ten's packages, a source told The Athletic. So this is what you could be looking at for Big Ten. Noon Eastern on Fox, 3:30. The 3:30 game on CBS, that changes from SEC to Big Ten. Primetime on NBC. And, you could go from, like, the early game, East Coast, like Penn State against, I don't know. The Big Ten is, like, ridiculously big now. Penn State, Rutgers, all the way to, USC, UCLA starting late night, an entire day of these things. I'm still stunned, though. I never would have guessed that the Big Ten would get completely off ESPN. This will be basketball, too, of course. You think about how important it has been. And I do wonder, I got to say, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I do wonder if that's a mistake. I understand the idea here, and certainly if this ends up landing you Notre Dame, if this helps get Notre Dame, I really get it, and I have to think that's part of the inspiration here. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm the Big Ten, if I'm everybody in the Big Ten, coaches and ADs, if I love the idea of abandoning ESPN.
Yes, the story from Andrew Marchand, media reporter for the New York Post. It would be ESPN would be out of the business of Big Ten football and basketball for the first time in 40 years. It's always good for your conference or your league or whatever to be synonymous with a certain station, like the SEC on CBS. First of all, it makes it easier to find those games because you know where they're going to be. But there is value in having a network that is playing your conference, your league, what have you.
Well, of course, now with the SEC, even with that, you always knew that was the big game, right?
Yes.
This is, for people, it's been a long time now, going back to the 90s. You knew this was the big game of the week, was the 3:30 or here, the 2:30 SEC on CBS game. Now, throughout all that, they've been on ESPN still, right? And obviously ESPN owns the SEC network. And so that's another key point here, obviously. Fox, Big Ten Network, ESPN, SEC Network. It's going to be really interesting to see how the two sort of – it really is like just going against each other. Think about game day. for one thing, now, for example, I know last year, for example, went to the Michigan State game. Game day was there, like on one side of this tailgating field, and then, the Fox big noon kickoff people, they both were at one game. This happens every once in a while. But if the game day no longer has Big Ten at all, like I bet you
I hate that.
And they'll stop going to Big Ten sites, and it's just going to be – so if you're in SEC country, like these programs I think are going to get more game day. Game day still means so much, and I'm sorry, like the Fox Sports Big Noon Kickoff, it's fine. It's a pregame show. They try like –
College Game Day is the established brand.
Now, I will say, I don't know how many more years Lee Corso's going to do the show. He's such a huge part of that.
Not so fast, my friend.
Well, it's been great to see how he has gotten stronger, and you want him to go as long as he can go on the show.
Those mascot heads are not light, by the way.
I mean, you got to, honestly, you have to, someone else has to do that, right? I
think you have to retire that bit with
you think
Lee Corso,
so?
Yeah.
Oh.
Would it have the same? Would it land the same if it was somebody else?
It wouldn't, but the fans get so into that pick. I feel like it's not Herb Street.
No.
But somebody's got to do it. But regardless, the thing about that show is they've always been strong at, whether it was Reese Davis Fowler, very strong at host. And Herb Street and Corso, they're dynamic, but Herb Street in particular is so good. I mean, really, they could do better with some of their other analysts on that panel. It's kind of weak other than Herb Street. But regardless, it's game day. It's the thing that, like Chris Vanini just said, it did much to grow this sport. And that is – so you're basically giving that up if you're the Big Ten. And, I think the SEC benefits in that way. But if NBC is going to get more into this stuff, along with CBS, the Big Ten game, and Fox, you're on all these networks – and one thing that the Big Ten reportedly here, like in Nicole's story, wants to do is the playoff. That's just been ESPN. It's an ESPN product. They want, just like the NFL playoffs. Well, NBC gets this game and Fox gets this game. Maybe it's good. I guess that aspect of it could be good for the sport.
The Super Bowl rotates, doesn't it?
The Super Bowl is a different network every year.
Yeah.
Yes. But in the NFL playoffs, it's NBC Sunday night they get one of the wild card games, and Monday Night Football gets one of them. I mean, they spread it around. I think that's probably what we're looking at here. I just wonder, both of these leagues, they're going to be whatever they are, whether they're massive 20 whatever team leagues or whatever it looks like. They're going to be the two leagues that dominate financially.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder if the SEC ends up in the long run better off by just completely monopolizing ESPN and ABC. Like Chris said, now those other leagues, there's going to be some holes to fill without the Big Ten. But I think if I had a choice here, I'd go the ESPN way. They've already gone away from that, of course, gone strong with Fox. They've created a Fox college football thing. But I think the SEC is in good shape now, looking at just having ESPN as its own domain.
Yeah, and I hadn't really thought about the college game day aspect of it, to be honest with you. But even as someone who considers himself a casual college football fan, I tuned into college game day. I love the presentation. You love seeing the tailgating, the signs in the crowd, the Lee Corso mascot reveal. The celebrity pickers when they're picking the games. It's fun. Even as someone who is not a diehard college football fan at all, it is something that you can gravitate towards. And then, the point is the noon game starts and you might keep the TV on for a little while. It's not, usually those games are not the high profile games, but they're they're interesting enough. There are a couple of name brand teams. But yeah, that's an aspect of it I hadn't thought about. But yeah, what's your do you have a favorite college game day related moment?
Well, so to your point, and it leads you right into it's like Illinois, Northwestern, right into kickoff. Lee Corso takes off the mask, and then here's the kickoff.
And Reese Davis
Purdue,
is like,
Minnesota.
well, we're going to Evanston, for kickoff between Illinois and
now
Northwestern.
Every time that's going to be Kentucky, Missouri. Sorry, I got Kentucky in the noon ESPN game, but that's going to happen sometime. Vanderbilt, South Carolina. It'll be one of those every time now. Favorite moment?
Because I'm sure you've covered plenty of games that had College Game Day.
Yeah, and that's like one of those things. Like it's kind of a pain to cover, like 'cause, the fan's so early.
Yeah,
I was one of those fans one time. 4:30 a.m. camping out.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't know. A great moment doesn't immediately spring to mind. I mean, so many times that I've just laughed at the Corso thing, right?
Yes, my favorite is always when he teases the opposing team and gets the booze, and then he just throws the thing away and puts on the home team mascot. And
one that really does stand out actually is Katy Perry. Do you guys remember when she went to Ole Miss?
I don't remember that.
That was freaking.
Yes.
Because a lot of times a celebrity, they're sort of stiff, and it's like, okay, she was hilarious. May have had a little buzz going. I don't know, but she was funny as hell on that. That one was good. Yeah. I'm sure there's like a compilation somewhere of the best moments, but those, again, they're going to be more SEC moments for that, and there's going to be fewer Big Ten moments down the road. So
it's Vanderbilt's time to shine.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you. Game day in the West End. Has that happened?
We'll look it up during the break.
Yeah, we'll look it up during the break. And when we come back, we're going to get into another guy we talk about from time to time on this show, a former Titans receiver opening some eyes. Coming up next, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, Preds fans.
Running across to make the save is Sarah.
You can now hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The backhander, he scores!
And every Predators game on 106.3 FM.
Oh, that was a thing of beauty.
From downtown Nashville to Rutherford and Williamson counties.
Duchesne with the overtime winner.
Catch all the action on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Are you ready for this?
You've never seen the PBR like this. Buckle up for the ultimate weekend in Western sports as the PBR Team Series invades Nashville's Bridgestone Arena, August 19th through the 21st. 8 teams, 3 days, 1 champion. Don't miss your chance to watch history as it's made. Get your tickets now at PBR.com or Ticketmaster.com. PBR Team Series. Bull riding will never be the same.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
When that door closed behind me and I was free, the main thing I wanted to do was just re-enter society, get a job, and see my family.
It's okay.
There's a new state office of re-entry in Tennessee, specifically to help folks like me get jobs. Go to tnworkready.com or visit your local American Job Center. Re-entry is a normal thing, and it's okay.
Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
tnworkready.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN. Welcome into Chase, Willie, and D-Mace.
Stillman & Company is delivered.
There's a new way to hear 102.5 The Game. Nashville's best sports talk on 106.3 FM. From downtown Nashville to Spring Hill on I-65 and to Murfreesboro on I-24. You now have 2 choices to hear our great sports programming. Get the extra point, no problem. And the Nashville Predators. Scores! Check out 106.3 now and save it as a preset.
Hey, Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in for Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight at 7:05 p.m. on 94.9 The Fan. The Sounds are home at First Horizon Park taking on the Gwinnett Stripers, AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. Sounds Baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by 312 Pizza and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Welcome back, Robby and Rexrode. Joe Rexrode, Anna Vingen in for Robby Stanley this week. Michelle Knezovic, live from the Hillside Medical Game Studio. So, a lot of texts come streaming in to me as I ask about Vanderbilt and game day. And I've got Buddy, and I got Jared Stillman, and I got Chase McCabe coming in the studio. And actually, someone on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com, Scott says Vanderbilt Auburn was in 20,098. I think that was a typo. 20,098. And that could happen in 20,098. That'd be good news for Vanderbilt that they didn't get relegated from the SEC. 2008 Auburn Vanderbilt game. So that was pre-James Franklin. That was Bobby Johnson. So good to know. As you mentioned, Adam, there was game day hoops here also.
Yes, a couple of times. Last time was in 2012, according to a quick search on Google. And during the break, before we went to break, we were talking about favorite college game day moments, and this is not a college game day moment, but I was reminded of the time that Bevo charged Uga at the 2019 Sugar Bowl.
Well done. That's a classic. That is absolutely classic.
Because someone had the bright idea to have a bulldog meet a bovine. I'm sure, I don't know how much a longhorn weighs.
But
couple tons.
But
probably.
that's just what could go wrong? Putting those two together.
Yes.
Also, Jared, I will, since I've muted him on Twitter, he actually texted me this tweet, so I'll read his tweet. This could be huge. This is from Jared on the TV situation. Says this could be huge for the ACC. We talked a little bit about Big 12, Pac-12, but all those leagues, there are openings now. Back to Jared's tweet. Can ESPN let that league fall apart after losing the Big 10 basketball? Can the SEC give ESPN enough big games to compete with a weekly Big 10 triple header on 3 major broadcast networks? Can ESPN get Notre Dame in the ACC with this? Interesting thought on Notre Dame. Of course, the thought on the other side is, this could be good for Notre Dame. You could look at it that way too. Notre Dame, as Chris Vanini said earlier, they remain they just love this too. The Notre Dame people just love this.
Yeah,
it's just their constant discussion because of this, right? I mean, they're not gonna lose their seat at the table no matter what happens. They know that. It really comes down to them figuring out what's the best deal for them. In the meantime, we talk about freaking Notre Dame all the time, and they got the number 1 class in the country. Just got 5-star linebacker out of Baton Rouge, by the way. So good for Notre Dame. Speaking of SEC football and Ole Miss and Katy Perry, this is a hell of a transition. I know of a former Ole Miss receiver who's opening some eyes in camp. I had to dip into this. We haven't really talked a lot about the NFL at large today, but I'm going to go to an open practice at the Link, and this is Bo Wolf and Zach Berman, who cover the Eagles for The Athletic. A little back and forth. I'm going to read. So you've got some footage of A.J. Brown making a big-time play. So here is what Bo Wolf says. A.J. Brown, quote, A.J. Brown, he has been fully as advertised throughout camp. Devontae Smith's injury the past few days plays into this. But Brown has been like 60% of the offense on his own if I'm just ballparking things. And his presence has added a dimension that was missing from the offense last season, an intermediate passing game in the middle of the field, end quote. A lot of raving about A.J. Brown. A lot of talk, and some of the talk, too much talk about the Titans and all that and everything, but not surprised. Interesting to me that A.J. Brown looks good out there. It is camp. Keep it, you got to keep that in mind. But look, man, A.J. Brown's 2022 is going to be closely monitored here, like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And A.J. Brown did himself no favors with the way that his exit was handled. So I think that there will be plenty of eyes locally on A.J. Brown's play in Philadelphia, And I'm sure there will be Titans fans who hope that he stinks and that the Eagles stink.
Well, I think some people have talked themselves into he stinks.
Right. He doesn't stink.
No.
He is a very good wide receiver, and I'm sure he will do well. And it's always interesting when that happens, when a player leaves a team, especially under, I guess you could call them suspect circumstances. It did not seem like it was what's the word I'm looking for? Amicable split between the Titans and A.J. Brown.
It was not amicable.
So that will lead to some distaste in the mouth of Titans fans. But it will be interesting to see. And if I'm not mistaken, they play each other this season.
Oh, they do. Oh, they play in Philly. So again, a lot of people on the text line like to say, A.J. Brown won't be playing in that game. It's not like I feel like people think like he's missed half of the seasons, and of course we got also the bad personality BS that has followed this. But definitely the Twitter needs to chill out. Needs to do the tail of the one on Twitter. Michelle texts us. We've got some news here. Who tweeted this though? I want to make sure I give credit. Oh, good. Let's give credit to Adam Schefter. Well, he did tweet it. Titans signing former Browns safety Adrian Colbert to a 1-year contract. Journeyman safety. He's been to a ton of teams lately. I do wonder, it's a lot of times signings like that are directly related to, a loss of a safety somewhere. So I wonder if that means, is that an injury move? It's definitely a body in camp move for the Titans. We know that. I do know that Amani Hooker has been out a little bit. Now, doesn't seem like it's anything that serious, but he has been out, along with yesterday Roger McCreary. Elijah Molden's been out for quite a while now, so a little bit of injury bug hitting the secondary. A.J. Moore is definitely the next guy at safety at this point. Looks like a guy that they trust pretty well. They really need depth to develop there. Theo Jackson, I should mention, it was not in my notes, but Theo Jackson had a couple real nice plays yesterday. He continues, to me, to develop pretty nicely for a rookie, and I think he's going to be on this team.
Adrian Colbert, or Colbert, we'll go with Colbert. As you said, a journeyman, has played for now. The Titans will be his 6th team. He played his first 2 years in the league with the San Francisco 49ers, then 1 year with the Miami Dolphins, 1 year with the New York Giants, 1 year with the New York Jets, 1 year with the Cleveland Browns, and now with the Tennessee Titans. So that's six teams since 2017. So bounces around quite a bit, played 14 games for the 49ers his rookie year in 2017, just 3 games last season with the Cleveland Browns. So
yeah. So I mean,
he's a body.
Yep, trying to hang on in the league. And look, I mean, that's a position the Titans could use more depth. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, Theo Jackson, I think, has been a very nice add. They did add back Josh Kalu. So we'll see, and that's one of those spots. Gosh, I've forgotten the names of guys they added in camp last year who actually got tons of action in preseason games and then didn't make the team. That happens quite a bit too, especially as we move more and more into the direction of preseason games not including key players. And I think you're going to see a fair amount of that Thursday night. Back on the A.J. Brown front, let me ask you this, Adam. If A.J. Brown, let's say the Titans have a good year, everything works out well with the receiving core. A lot of things look good right now. Woods looks good. Burks is coming on. Westbrook-Akine doing well. Phillips looks like a nice choice. The tight ends are better. Let's say things go well. Titans have a good year. They win the division. The offense is actually better than expected. Everything's fine. But A.J. Brown has like a monster year in Philly.
Mm-hmm.
Guy hasn't had 1,100 yards yet. It's worth mentioning. But let's say he has like a 1,400-yard season in Philly, and he just changes their offense. They take a big step. He makes Jalen Hurts better because, as Bo Wolf wrote here, those access throws in the middle of the field with A.J. Brown just becomes a – so if you're a Titans fan and it worked out and Treylon Burks looks like a good pick, maybe he's not A.J. Brown, but a good pick, you have a good year, everything like that, do you care?
That's a good question because I think this is an extreme example, but I think back to when the Washington Nationals won the World Series. The summer leading into that season was when Bryce Harper left Washington and signed with the Phillies. Now, I don't know how great of a year Harper had in his first year with the Phillies, but there was a lot of talk in Washington about that. Like, what if Harper, is an MVP that season? But of course, then the Nationals won the World Series, so everything was okay. But yeah, that's a good question.
Titans fans would love that kind of scenario.
Yes, yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to depend largely on what the Titans do as a whole. If the Titans are, have a good enough season where they're, a top team in the AFC, and the Eagles, despite A.J. Brown's, monster season, as you stipulated, maybe the Eagles, finish it in a wild card spot and are out in the first round of the playoffs. Like, I think that's going to have a lot to do with it, perhaps more than just the individual play. If A.J. Brown has a great season and leads the Eagles to an NFC East championship, and maybe they make a run in the playoffs, I think that will hurt a lot.
Well, another thing with the whole Bryce Harper comparison is, he's one of those guys. Obviously, you love him as the player he is on your team, but he's a very easy to dislike guy.
Yes, similar to A.J. Brown, at least on his online, persona. Yeah. If you're annoyed by his social media usage.
I mean, look, I have not been around Bryce Harper, but I've seen plenty of examples of, like, again, that wasn't what A.J. Brown was at all in person. Yeah, Twitter, the Twitter fingers.
There's been a lot of subtweeting since he left the Titans.
Yeah,
that doesn't sit well with a lot of people.
But that wasn't in real life. That wasn't the case. But of course, people are now making that the narrative. We will continue on that front. Final segment coming up. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, Robby Stanley here to tell you can go yard all summer long with $5 Dinger Tuesdays on FanDuel Sportsbook. This season, all customers will get $5 for every home run hit by both teams when you place a $25 to hit a home run wager on Tuesday MLB games. And the best part about Dinger Tuesdays is even if your bet loses, FanDuel will pay you $5 for every home run. New York is the way I'd go with the Yankees in this one. Aaron Judge is crushing the ball, but you take it any way you want to take it. What are you waiting on? Just pick your home run hitter and turn big swings into big wins. There's no better place to bet America's pastime than America's #1 sportsbook. Head over to your FanDuel account or download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up using promo code ROB. Once again, that promo code is ROB. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. A max bonus of $25. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 Code Red meteorologist Greg Bobis today. Warm once again, high temperature right near 90, right near normal for this time of the year. Heat index values in the middle 90s. Scattered showers and storms this afternoon through the evening. Not worried about severe weather, but heavy rainfall is possible.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
I'm Cindy Mae Johnson from Mountaintop Media in the beautiful Appalachian Mountains of eastern Kentucky, where flash floods have taken lives and destroyed homes. The news can never accurately convey how much help is needed. If you're willing or able to help, even a little, please donate to the East Kentucky Dream Center on Venmo or at ekdc.info. Thank you for your prayers and support.
Cromwell Media, who owns this radio station, is observing a significant milestone this month. Our founder, Bud Walters, is celebrating his 50th year as president. Joining Bud with anniversaries of their own are Max Hurst and Scott Meyer with 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and Ryan Burke in our sales department is also celebrating 1 year with us. From 1 year to 50 years, Cromwell Media is a great place to work, and you're invited to join us. Send an email to together@cromwellmedia.com and tell us about yourself. That's together@cromwellmedia.com.
Jared Stillman.
If you get 3 games where he doesn't turn the ball over, you're going to the Super Bowl.
Caroline Fenton.
I don't know if he would be open to joining another team.
Stillman and Company. Afternoons from 2 to 6.
Presented by TriStar Moving.
On Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And on the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and on the Game Nashville app.
Final segment, Robby and Rexrode, Joe Rexrode, Adam Mingin for Robby Stanley this week. sick of me yet, buddy?
No.
Okay.
We've spent a lot more time together than this.
That's true.
We have shared hotel rooms.
That is true.
So.
Yeah. You're very, very neat.
I am. You're not.
Give you
Let me guess. Rexrode is messy and a snorer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
A messy snorer. That's me. That's about right. Thank you, Michelle.
I allegedly snore on occasion, but I can't confirm that because I'm asleep.
Well, Katie, yells at me for snoring, and then I will sometimes yell at her, and she's like, "No, that's not true." I'm like, "How do you know? You don't know if you snore or not. You don't know. I'm telling you snore. I'm not lying. I'm not making it up." So I've actually recorded it, and I may be the worst snorer. Okay, I may be.
Do you need a CPAP
but I'm
machine?
not the only
that's
snorer.
Not a CPAP machine.
Actually,
that's a different thing.
I do need to but yeah, I need to do a sleep study. So my health issues
What's the machine you wear when you have? What's the machine you wear when you have sleep apnea?
It's a gosh.
It's like a mouth guard or something, right?
Well, I have a friend who has. It's like basically like you sound like Darth Vader when you're sleeping. I forget what it's called.
It is a CPAP machine.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I was thinking that was related to something else.
Yeah, I was too. But okay, good to know. Yeah, may need one of those, possibly. Talking to A.J. Brown. Now, I'm going to transition, okay? Because, again, with A.J. Brown.
Speaking of someone who has antsy Twitter fingers.
Well, yeah. Now, you speak of some. So, A.J. Brown, and I do actually think that most of this guy's issues are also mostly social media related. However, I got to wonder, what is going on with Kevin Durant?
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
Like and he's reiterated, the trade demand to the Nets, and doesn't like their vision, and it's pick the GM coach or pick me, right?
The coach that he stumped for, right? Steve Nash.
Yeah, right. So he's reiterating the desire and says the franchise needed to choose. This is sources telling Shams, I think, at The Athletic, ESPN confirming it, either him or it's Nash and general manager Sean Marks. Remember, this whole thing has been built around him and what he has wanted and his vision for what they can be.
It's going to be an excellent 30 for 30 one day about the Brooklyn Nets, about Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and James Harden, that whole thing. I mean, there are so many layers to that story. I mean, the idea of them, what they could have done, what they ultimately did or did not do, the fact that they barely played together, that whole era of Nets basketball is incredibly fascinating. Yeah. Not since the days of Keith Van Horn and Kerry Kittles and Kenyon Martin has it been fascinating in New Jersey / Brooklyn.
And by the way, Brian Scalabrine,
former member of the New Jersey Nets.
Yeah, hitting some threes. No, I mean it is amazing. And health, of course, part of that, and COVID part of that. But it looked like an absolute ultimate super team. Although with Harden, it's just I hate the whole this particular player just is never gonna win. But I just. Those Rockets teams were amazing too, and I just think that the way he plays grinds things to a halt so much that it's hard. Even though he's a dazzling talent, I just can't stand his game, and I just have a question. I just don't think he's ever going to win anything. James Harden. Now Kevin Durant has and may yet, and he's still a top what player in the league?
5.
Top 5 safely.
Yeah, I'd say top 5 safely.
Yeah. I mean, he's 33. He's got 4 years, $198 million left. But this,
he'll never win another one, I don't think.
You may be right. You may be right. And I just his legacy. It's amazing how there's so many people wanted the Golden State Warriors to be largely just about Durant, and now he goes off to do his thing and kind of reiterate that, and instead it's flipped on him.
When I think of, Kevin Durant has been, I think, fairly on the forefront of the usage of social media in the NBA, and his legacy is pretty set. I mean, he's a fabulous player. He's won multiple championships, but I feel like, his usage of social media to clap back at critics sort of overshadows.
Like every day.
Yeah, overshadows his greatness at times, and I think that's what That's why I think back to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown. We're not comparing A.J. Brown to Kevin Durant in terms of on the field / on the court accomplishment, but A.J. Brown certainly has the talent to be a really good, even great wide receiver in the NFL. But do you want to be, do you want that to be what people think of you when the first thing you talk about is A.J. Brown, or do you want it to be the guy can't get off social media and all that stuff?
I do think with A.J. Brown, it's not like I was closely following along, but I do think that this is it's a situational thing for him. He's sensitive. He's upset with the Titans. He's upset with some Titans fans. So he can't tear himself away from that argument since the trade, right? I mean, before that, he tweeted out like he had a surgery and he was loopy and telling everybody about his surgery. But so he had some interesting things on. He went after Kaharski on Twitter once, but I don't think it was like a constant issue. This is a situation where he just needs to remove himself. But Durant, I mean, this is like his brand. Every day you go to Twitter and you will see Kevin Durant clapping back. Sometimes it's funny, at least.
It's Stephen A. Smith.
He quote tweets people and rips them, and sometimes it's actually funny. Sometimes it's like, what are you doing?
He definitely has a burner out there somewhere, too. Wasn't there some whole thing?
He was outed at one point.
He was outed with his burner, which was something like, man, I think Durant's awesome. I don't know what he said, but it was like,
On a completely unrelated note, but related to a conversation that we had earlier in the hour, John Orand of Sports Business Journal has just tweeted that ESPN has pulled out of Big Ten media rights negotiations, ending one of the longest sports media relationships in the business. ESPN said no to the conference's final offer of a 7-year, $380 million per year package, sources tell Sports Business Journal.
Man, $380 million a year. Thanks, but no thanks. So that's let me just do some math. That's more than
a couple billion.
More than $3 billion, right?
Wasn't the CBS one $330?
I think you're right. Now, of course, remember CBS. You got CBS, you got NBC, you got Fox. Fox is still going to be the primary, but it's going to be. It's going to be interesting to see what these numbers all are. When they all the contracts are done, when all the juggling is finished, like what the numbers look like.
I miss the days of Jefferson Raycom.
Oh, man.
I miss those days.
Well, growing up in Virginia, out in high school in Virginia, you did too. You grew up, those ACC basketball weeknights on
ACC Sunday Night Hoops.
Jefferson Pilot, Raycom.
Yes.
Oh, big time stuff, man.
Those were the days. But those days of those small little television operations are over, my friend.
But in all seriousness, as a Duke fan,
yes,
you're a college basketball nut. That is your absolute number one thing in the world is Duke men's basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I think that brand will be fine, but are you concerned about what football is threatening to do to the ACC?
Yeah, for sure. I thought it was weird when, no offense, Michelle, Syracuse and Pittsburgh and Louisville entered the ACC, and I got used to it. And even Virginia Tech, when Virginia Tech came in, I was like, this is weird. I don't like this. But, the idea of the ACC basically being stripped for parts, I don't like that. I don't like the idea of as much as I abhor the University of North Carolina, I wouldn't like the idea of them being separated.
No. How about Duke UNC to the Big Ten? Are you down?
My allegiance is with the team, not the conference, so I'll go where they go. But
you'd be on FS1 on weeknights instead of ESPN.
That stinks.
And on that note, we'll end the show today. Thanks for listening, folks. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase Willie and D-Mace is next.
Heads up.